My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Okay, you will see in the images captured the entity that is stalking by aerial surveillance, following specifically from the library down B Street and Euclid, which I'm documenting the entity stalking at the Zumba on B Street, and Laurel stalking. As you can hear, I'm at Stater Brothers. The entity followed that path, that specific path, flying over that specific street while I'm walking down B Street past Laurel, B Street and Palm, B Street and Fern, and then I am walking onto B Street and Vine, and the entity is maintaining aerial surveillance. That is the people of the state are stalking while the entity is maintaining plane activity over me, following me to the venue where you hear plane activity, and they're making a U-turn. That's to no destination. They're maintaining plane activity, and this is the mentally ill conduct of the people of the state. It exceeds stalking. It exceeds following me around. They're following, and then they're engaging in what is this pacing. While they're following, they're pacing around. The entity's engaging in this, we're going around in circles over and over and over again, stalking. You will see the entity migrating from one side of the street to the other side of the street as I migrate in any direction. And that's what's happening when I'm walking on Hope Boulevard, and then I walk into the parking lot of the Ontario Village Shopping Center where the entity is. That's the U.S. military. Those are the entities that are stalking in commercial planes and in the government aircrafts. License 7 Xavier Paul David 263 and Apple David Larry Edward 93, which is, I believe, is a Colorado plate, are stalking. They're pacing in the parking lot. So these are demons that act together. They intentionally engage in pacing by having one and then another driving in the opposite direction. They do this with regard to their person also in the engineer light. These are the mentally ill that are pacing. This is the specific conduct. They're not just walking by and driving by you. They are pacing around you under what is the fake sun. So I'm going to capture an image of that. It is over the Stater Brothers. This is the Stater Brothers that I'm at in the middle of the afternoon. I just documented last week when I did not go also to Upland, California. The entity had the fake sun over me, and the entity is engaging in what is stalking. It is stalking, and it's also exceeds stalking. This is psychopathic pacing, the psychopathic behavior, and you're already psychopathic stalking as a population, but it is not sufficient for the entity to follow me around. They pace around me while they're following. This is because they're engaging in the mentally ill behavior, which in their mentally ill minds, they are practicing a fully exposed and failed ritual. And this ongoing conduct, this behavioral pattern, is going to serve for what is having this population subject to martial law and subject to involuntary commitments. The entities engaging in this with the Ontario International Airport, the U.S. military that's engaging in surveilling me, just like I'm capturing in Upland, California, and the entities engaging in this through corrupt businesses like Stater Brothers who are inside of the building, sharing the same mental illness, doing so, already in position, stalking in the bathroom, to engage in what is pacing around concerning my vagina that the entity, including Union Pacific, is keeping under surveillance. That is the sex offender that is mentally ill, that is exceeding stalking me. It is pacing around me. Okay, that's the pattern of conduct. This is the mentally ill conduct of a suicidal population, of an exceedingly violent and mentally ill, a deranged and unhinged and obsessed population that's engaged in what is referred to as gang stalking. Gang stalking is satanic behavior, and it is the ongoing ritual before they murder someone. The entity is engaged in this criminal conduct in front of the world. There will be the entity has sacrificed itself. It's also sacrificed all secrecy. It's sacrificed its tactics, everything that I'm showing you. It's literally a tutorial, and they are also sacrificing their liberty. They're going to be subject to martial law as I break down this process, and they're also going to be subject to involuntary commitments. Okay, this is showing and proving and prosecuting, and also serving to diagnose via prosecution massive mental illness that a population shares. Contrary to the illusion that those that are gang stalkers in the medical field present, such as, first of all, those who are perfectly sane being mentally ill, and second of all, that mental illness is something that is shared by, it's actually never been assessed regarding a population sharing that. And this has never been addressed because the government has never been exposed for engaging in a targeting system, practicing a cult culture regarding targeting surveillance. Okay, so the entity is following in the same way that they're following to the venue. They're following on the inside of the venue, and they're following in the bathroom. So they're pacing while you're looking at them on surveillance cameras, which I use to document. They're pacing around, stalking with noise in the aisles. The entity's stalking methods are they're stalking and monitoring me through. They are monitoring me as they are stalking me through the store, through the employees, through the vendors that are essentially contracted employees. They're inside of the venue behaving and doing so as employees, but I'm just speaking to the classes of gang stalkers, the vendors that are inside of the store, and also the customers. And all they're doing is pacing all around. This is the P.O.C. It's currently 6:26 a.m. All right, that's the entity that uses the grocery carts as a means of audible activity and light activity. This is what they do pursuant to my movements also, and also monitoring my genitalia in the store. This is the entity that's doing so with the management. Good morning, Mr. Quinones. That's the pattern of conduct. He's going to prison. Okay, this is the P.O.C. It's psychopathic pacing in and out of the entrances. And this is the entity whose license plate I already documented. They are on surveillance camera and on mine. Alrighty, that's the P.O.C. I'm gonna go ahead and get his license plate. Actually, this employee drives the. He is exiting the store with the shopping cart to set the alarm off. And that's an employee. And he does so while David Quinones says, good morning, while he's monitoring. He's stalking by walking out of the entrance and back in. He's pacing. And the third party that's engaging in this malicious conduct and furtherance of murder, psychological torture, he drives the SUV that I documented before. His license plate is 9 Frank Victor David 089. I just took a picture of that. This is the P.O.C. This is the malicious conduct of the entity that's engaged in what is the criminal system of federal group stalking and monitoring, where an entity has conspired murdering you. It's a government system, and they do that in furtherance of that murder. It's also while they're hostile because they're being documented conspiring to murder. Those are psychopaths. I'm mad that you're telling people that I'm trying to kill you, that I'm stalking you, that I'm monitoring you. I'm mad that you're calling me, following you around and monitoring you, stalking and calling me a psychopath, because that's the mentally ill conduct. That's the mentally ill mind state. And the entity is indeed flying over the parking lot right now. I took a picture of what's behind the parking lot at Subway in Holt and Bonita. It's the housing community. The entity has crossed the street to engage in what is stalking on this side of the road. This is what David Quinones is doing as I'm documenting him systematically. David Quinones is going to prison. This is the entity that is poisoning me and then systematically poisoning as an entity. And Stater Brothers employees are subject to prison on multiple grounds. All right, that is Southwest Airlines. Taking a picture of that right now. Southwest Airlines is monitoring while the entity is inside of the store, using the store alarm, pacing around an engineer light, which fills the store. David Quinones is subject to prison. So is Edgar Reyes, Kelly Reyna, Miguel Velasquez, Irene Jara, Angela Negrelli. These are employees inside of the venue that are monitoring right now while the entity is targeting. There are no planes taking off. Southwest Airlines coming from Terminal 4 is not hovering over the parking lot and at the Ontario Village Shopping Center. They're also not hovering over in Upland, California. They're not hovering to be outside of my window of Omnitrans in Montclair, California. They're not flying at a heightened elevation while they are at Vineyard and Holt, which is north immediately at the location where the airport is. This is the entity that's engaged in stalking. Southwest Airlines is a stalker, and Southwest Airlines is stalking with Stater Brothers, who is going to be subject, the employees are subject to federal prison because they're engaging in the surveillance system while in the food industry, and they've also committed the act of what is systematically poisoning me. And this is also relevant to the entity that is also then putting needles in my body while they're poisoning me and systematically battering me. Okay, this is the P.O.C. The entity is parked at the front of the store with regard to psychopathic pacing and stalking with light. 9VUV498, and this is impunity. I just want to be clear, Stater Brothers employees are all going to prison. All right, they're in the food industry, they're engaged in surveillance and unlawful and intolerable threat, and they're monitoring right now. And they're all in position inside of the store, and I am referencing the surveillance cameras. This is P.O.C. That is indeed David Quinones stalking the inventory right on the opposite side of the restroom. This is positioning. Alrighty, the registers are also in relevant position, and they are engaging, and that is Kia, and I am indeed an engineer light. Alrighty, this is the pattern of conduct. I'm taking images of that right now. This is the entity that's monitoring in bathrooms, monitoring genitalia. It is currently, and that's literally going from the outside to the inside, where monitoring is underway as I travel and I take you on the, I'm basically giving you an inside view regarding gang stalking, and I'm giving you an inside view regarding the diseased mindset of the person that's engaging in that, what's wrong with them and what must be wrong with them to engage in it, and what is wrong with a community that is sharing that pattern of conduct. And this is, again, mental illness that is born of what is demon possession while they are engaging in what is a demonic pattern of conduct, i.e. the fake sun, i.e. the psychopathic pacing, i.e. the impossible light activity behavior, and the amplified audible activity, the stalking with noise, the simultaneity of noise, also the obsessive behavior of the entity that seeks to convey, that is the psychopath that wants to appear one way, meaning they also want to blame the targeted individual stalking you as a stranger is a means of inflicting more harm, engaging in the pattern of conduct, which you clearly see, and then doing so in a manner that they intended to make it appear as though the targeted individual doesn't exist. The target individual is imagining things, and we're well beyond that. So the entities engaging in this, and like I stated, the law shall be, this is what is happening. They're going to federal prison, gang stalking in these industries. As a grocery store, they are absolutely poisoning you. They're targeting you with regard to the products that you buy, in the same way that they're stalking you physically in the store, targeting you with everything that's happening. They're not just walking by, they're stalking you obsessively with your location. They're stalking you while they're maintaining noise, using any and everything to do so. And they are a whole entity that's engaged in that level of targeting and focus, which is psychotic. Okay, the entity is going to be subject to federal prison, and this is mandatory mental examinations. And David Quinones, the manager, is engaged in gang stalking, as I just documented, and I'm subject to it right now. He's going to prison, and so is every employee of Stater Brothers. It is currently 6:33 a.m., and this is the U.S. military, the Ontario International Airport. That's the city of Ontario. This is the state of California that's presenting evidence as I dissect the population, and I'm using their criminal activity, their criminally cooperative conduct against each other, okay? Where the pattern of conduct is following me to the venue is monitoring. And when you're monitoring, you're going to prison when you're in this industry. No American citizen is going to be subject to this level of a threat while you're purchasing food from them. Not only will you prosecute, but they will cease to exist. And that's what's going to happen in Stater Brothers, especially upon martial law. It is currently 6:33 a.m. and it is Wednesday, May 27, 2026. This is documentation, which is already known, of vagina monitoring. P.O.C. All right, I do want to be clear. This sex offender, let me recite his license plate, and this is the entity. I document one sex offender, I document Stater Brothers. I document one company such as Stater Brothers, I document the government. I document the government in the city of Ontario, I document the state of California. I document the state of California, I'm documenting the U.S. government. That's engaged in monitoring my vagina in the bathroom under the fake sun. Number one, that's speaking to knowledge, and you're always assessing the mental illness, the mind state, the malice, the deceitfulness behind the stalker, in other words, that is intending to kill you and is all engaging in all manner of what is conducting themselves outwardly while they are in every regard targeting is the entity that's going to be subject to being committed. That psychopathic pattern is relevant to killing people and also creating the narrative. This is the government's means of murdering American citizens, and it's highly unintelligent. I'm taking you on the inside of gang stalking, which is committed by the U.S. military, the unintelligent dunces that are providing evidence against their co-defendant, the people of the state, because there's no way for them to engage in it without overtly stalking, which they're doing. But there's no way for the entity to engage in it in the way in which it was designed. The people of the state are executing the pattern of conduct where you never see the face of the government. You hear them in the background. You hear the helicopter, you hear the sirens, all right? You hear references to them, you hear threats regarding them, but the people of the state are the state, and they are executing that pattern of conduct. They're doing so, and they're forced to do so with their co-defendant that is stalking on video and in images and by podcast, in planes and helicopters, fire, police, and ambulance vehicles in a specific environment that is unmistakable, and you are very much aware of presence, my presence in particular, while the military is stalking me in the parking lot with planes that have no business coming from Terminal 4 like Southwest, or even Delta Airlines that's also assigned a terminal. There's no planes hovering in the same way that they're not hovering east of this location and then west of the Ontario Town Square, west of that location, and you're still at the same elevation where none of them are coming from the airport conducting any takeoff. You're certainly not headed to a destination doing U-turns. The entity's engaged in stalking, and you know exactly who I am while that pattern of conduct is underway, and you are creating what is activity to monitor genitalia in a venue where they are also engaging in poisoning customers, that they are gang stalking like David Quinones and the people of the state are. The people of the state are under the fake sentence. I'm documenting at 6:23 a.m. and the people of the state are engaging in stalking by providing what is in a means of stalking in relevant position. I just want to be clear, you can be in the back of the store, you could be like the supervisors above the bathroom, they're all going to prison. But the entity is engaged in stalking in the path. And so this is where you see Kia, the African-American female, in the image captured at, let me give you the timestamp, in the image captured at 6:30 a.m. upon my entrance. The people of the state are stalking by being at Register 1, making a purchase with Kia, the African-American female at Register 1. She's stalking in the path, and the overweight Latino male in the black bottoms and white t-shirt with all the doors open, stalking the alcohol. This is relevant for stalking perfectly in my path while they're pacing in and out of the entrance using this store alarm, which even David Quinones himself is engaging in. This is a terrorist leader while you're prosecuting the corporate entities. This is an entity that's engaging in that conduct together, and stalking in the store outside of the bathroom is a sex offender. They are in the library staring at the book next to me, stalking, okay? Doing so under the fake sun, where the government is stalking me by helicopter over that same bookcase. Those are the demons that are engaged in gang stalking, and they're gang stalking your genitalia. They're going to be subject to prison because of the industry that they're in, and it is absolutely practicable to put all domestic terrorists that are in the food industry that are poisoning American citizens, targeting them in this way, while also stalking them and exhibiting that ongoing disdain for the law and having this unreasonable, inexplicable desire to torture them, to stalk and sexually violate them, such as trying to enter the bathroom when you know my vagina, I'm in here, you're monitoring, and that's the means whereby they're monitoring. You're going to prison. You're going to be subject to commitments. That's what I'm capturing, and this is prosecuting Stater Brothers, the corporation headquartered in San Bernardino, California. All right, these are the companies just like this that are subject to martial law that will not be in operation. They will be going out of business. And I'm going to prosecute them first. It's currently 6:53 a.m. This is the significance of what you see documented on the Google Drive. The images, you're looking at the tactics, the methods of stalking. Okay, this is the P.O.C. All right, Kia and David Quinones. These are the employees that are gang stalking, and they're engaged in what is monitoring genitalia. They're doing so with the people of the state, demons that are engaging in what is stalking in a bathroom. Okay, stalking you in a bathroom, getting alignment to you in the bathroom to monitor you, creating audible activity to monitor you, and doing so in a bathroom is an exceedingly violent sex offense committed in furtherance of murder, and it is a corporate invasion of privacy by the company, by the people of the state that are going to be committed, that are going to be subject to martial law. This is prosecuting the community while you're being subject to surveillance by an entity in any bathroom. The sex offenders are going to be on lockdown. That's what martial law serves. And the entity is doing so while they are in position as I walk outside. So who is getting there in their vehicle at the entrance? License MOMMIAS. Stalking with light is the tactic behind that. They're doing it under the fake sun that I already captured. At 6:23 a.m., the fake sun is here in the middle of 6 hours later, where the cursed womb, the fat box, round shape, actually she's a box shape, she's fat and she's shaped like a box. The cursed womb that is stalking 6 hours later after 12 p.m. and the fake sun is still here. And the entity is stalking in planes, okay? While I'm here at 11 o'clock in the morning, and the Ontario Fire Department and Southwest Airlines and the entity by helicopter, just like over me at Upland, as a matter of fact, flies over the top of my head, again, in Ontario and in Upland, the two cities that I'm going to with regard to documenting as of late, which is why I'm able to show you the pattern of conduct in the two cities that I'm going to, where I'm subject to that pattern of conduct, which is prosecuting the entire state, because the pattern of conduct is supernatural. So you don't have just one community engaging in that. The entity's engaging in this conduct. 11 o'clock in the morning is when that's happening under the fake sun. The entity is engaging in this conduct together, knocking at the bathroom door. That's the entity that's doing so with an entity that's maintaining plane activity over the parking lot. Okay, like I said, demons are in all colors. They don't have a race. And this is a sex offender I documented before. He's got children in the van while he's stopping off to engage in what is monitoring the vagina of another woman. The license plate is 8 Yolanda Bob Victor 602. I believe he's affiliated with the YMCA, sex offenders. He's engaged in what is stalking in the path. And the entity is engaging in what is making a U-turn. He's monitoring while he is engaging in that. He's got African-American minor children, multi-races. He's gang stalking. All right, license 8YBV602. This is the African-American male engaged in vagina monitoring, and he engages in gang stalking routinely with this white van with children in it, en route to the pattern of conduct. This is just a means of a sex offender to come and participate, and the sex offenders are also companies. The sex offenders are the U.S. military. All right, he's doing so in sync with the entity that is stalking by planes. David Quinones is going to prison. Those that engage in this level of impunity, like I just documented, African-American, sex offender monitoring a woman, stalking a woman in custody of children, doing so, leaves the children in the van. I'm gonna go monitor some vagina right now and I'll be right back, and goes on with the rest of their day. That's what fills the state of California. This is the operation of a company such as Stater Brothers that calls itself a family markets. I've proven and shown you it is not, and it's going out of business. They're engaged in graphic, violent sexual acts against American citizens while they're stalking them in the most psychotic ways. So what the customers are doing, David Quinones is doing. Okay, what the employees are doing, David Quinones is doing. What the U.S. military is doing, David Quinones is doing. All right, David Quinones is going to prison, and so is Edgar Reyes and every other employee, and they're doing so. This is what the entity is sharing in while I'm documenting yesterday. Pepe's towing, going out of its way to engage in vagina monitoring, waiting until I go into the restroom, and immediately, this is at 6 in the morning, high traffic into the adjacent restroom. Everyone's going to the restroom. That's psychopathic pacing. All right. They're doing so as employees. They're doing so as the vendors. They're doing so as the demons that are sharing in. Where's the exposed vagina that we're targeting? And they're going in and out of the restroom and doing so. And they're doing so under the fake. The fake sun is here at 6:23 a.m. I just captured an image of it. This is Pepe's Towing. These are these companies that I documented that are engaged in targeting. And they're doing so in the name of companies. They're doing so while they are on the job, such as Stater Brothers. They're doing so while they are targeting as a community. They're doing so while they're in custody of minor children, like the sex offender I just documented. Alrighty, that's the entity that's engaging in that. Stater Brothers is sharing in that pattern of conduct. There's no playing activity that's going to compete with my voice. And that's the entity that's engaging in that. That's the ongoing admission and the necessity of martial law. Okay, that's Delta Airlines. I'm going to go ahead and capture an image of that. Delta Airlines, which is also assigned a terminal. They're not hovering over any place in Upland, California. They're also not going to be hovering over the Ovid Family Community Library. And if they're hovering over the Ovid Family Community Library, then at this location, which is not a straight shoot west, they're not still going to be hovering. So that's speaking to what is stalking, all right? While you are in that pattern, engaging in that pattern of conduct. This is license plate. 6 Victor Uncle Mary 509. While the entity flies over and you're walking out in sync, purchasing flowers and doing so. That's a vagina monitor. That's a homosexual predator. Okay? The entity that's engaging in the conduct, you're walking out, crossing path in sync with the demons that are flying over the parking lot. The same venue where the fake sun is here 5 hours, 6 hours from now. This is the entity that's engaging in that. This is Stater Brothers that's admitting to engaging in terrorism, and that's fine because that's exactly what my evidence was proving, whether or not they admit to it or not. The entity is engaged in what is targeting, and they're doing so while the evidence is being gathered. This is a company that's not going to exist. And I want to be clear, Stater Brothers is not the only one being prosecuted. El Pollo Loco, Habit Burger and Grill, Subway, the La Mexicana, Papan Walk, every business that's inside. You're talking about the Ontario Village Shopping Center. It's going to be shut down. You're talking about martial law. It's proven itself to be a threat. It's not going to. Martial law is removing these venues, removing the airport. There will be no fire department, police department, ambulance. They're not gangs. All of this is going away, and they're going to be subject to involuntary commitments while they are now on this side of that martial law, showing exactly what they are and what they're doing and what they will not be doing. They will not be crossing state lines. They will not be just leaving their home and going to any gang stalking venue in the way that they are now. They will not be going to school where their gang stalking children are engaging in the pattern of conduct, as I've documented that. They're subject to martial law. This will be a lockdown of the terrorists that are the people of the state and the state of California. And businesses such as Stater Brothers are going out of business. They will be no more. And I'm exhausting them financially, and I'm prosecuting them. And the personnel of Stater Brothers are going to prison. But they're not the only one. They're just the one that I focus on because I go to Stater Brothers regularly. The DD's discounts, all serial stalkers, in other words, are going to prison. Okay. You're talking about what's across the street? Starbucks. Heavily engaged in documentation of targeting over the term of years. Starbucks is monitoring right now. Don't get lost in the trees because I'm documenting everyone at the same time. The entities gang stalking Tom's Burgers, Golden Bear Inn, all these venues that are in relevant position, the zone of relevant positioning, Coin Laundry, okay? The housing community over here that's gang stalking, relevant positioning. This is the zone of relevant positioning. You're going to look at a map. You're talking about everybody in relevant position. It's more than Stater Brothers. Everyone is engaging in it together. The entity is going to be subject to a prosecution. Serial stalkers are going to prison. Okay, so you're talking about what is a group of people while they're targeting on a systematic basis, and businesses that are going out, businesses that are going to cease to exist. They are going out of business. And this is, again, what is also the necessity of martial law. And the entity is engaging in this while they are showing that community to be a threat. That's why the fake sun's over me after 5 p.m. And the gang members are engaging in the same thing, pacing under a fake sun that's here 9 hours later, while they are doing so in sync with the demons that are stalking in the sky space. Mentally ill behavior. These are zombies that need to be put out of their own misery. These are zombies that need to be isolated from the rest of the country, and that's what martial law is going to serve to do, okay? And these zombies are also concealing their identity and their purposes by forming corporate entities, and those corporate entities are going to cease to exist. I'm prosecuting them and documenting and exposing them, okay? P.O.C. It's 7:11 a.m. Stater Brothers is engaged in what is stalking in the path. They're doing so at the entrance maintaining a conversation is stalking in the path. Walking in and out of the doors is pacing. Repeated flights over the parking lot is pacing. Doing so in sync with the demons that are also making purchases. This is federal RICO while they're engaged in what is terrorism. Remember, all of this is coexisting with what's going on, criminal conduct of surveillance in other countries. So this is treason, all right, while the entity is engaging in that. And they're doing so while the entity is maintaining that criminal pattern of conduct. So I want to speak to sex offenders, psychopaths like Jason Isaac Fields, who I have broken down into syllables how much of a delusional psychopath this sex offender is, engaging in what is the practice of sexually perverted acts with my mother, while they are both engaged in what is worshiping my genitalia, invading my privacy together as a couple, engaging in what is targeting me together as a couple, engaging in what is sexually violating me as a couple, meaning placing cameras, and while they're looking at me undressed in my apartment, Tracy Banks, my mother, and Jason Isaac Fields, her sex mate, husband, are having sex with each other while they are looking at me in the nude with cameras that I don't know are there in my home. This is the mentally ill that are sexually perverted, that are engaged in vagina monitoring. Jason Isaac Fields is an organizer of gang stalking, of this psychopathic pattern of conduct. He's an organizer of it. He is one that is sitting around with, again, my mother. He's abusing his position. He's getting ideas from them together. They're worshiping me. That's what gang stalkers are doing. They're worshiping me. They sit around stalking you, worshiping you, following you around, monitoring you, and conjuring up ways in which to attack you that they surmise is going to cause the most trauma, okay? And this is why, because Jason Fields and Tracy Banks in particular are also leading what they intend to do, which is profit from my demise. Jason Fields is subject to what are commitments, okay? The entities engaged in this, let me show you Southwest Airlines, that's engaged in what is monitoring my vagina as well, engaged in targeting me for money as well, doing so based on the organized conduct of, the gang stalking, organizing methods of this psychopath, Jason Isaac Fields, who will never be coming anywhere near me, who is engaged in what is also organizing, targeting me on the venue of the internet, where I'm maintaining my evidence, where the entity is engaged in targeting me, stealing my intellectual property, which Jason Isaac Fields has and fully intended to engage in and get away with. The entities engaging in this conduct together, and what I'm pointing out and what I'm documenting is conjured up in the sick mind of someone that is going to be committed, and that is Jason Fields. This is someone that's sharing an incestuous behavior with my mother. While they are practicing witchcraft, this is mentally ill behavior. This is what they are telling themselves that their purpose is. It's exceedingly psychopathic and sexually perverted together at the same time. And they're doing so while they are engaging in sexually perverted conduct together and focusing on an outside third party. I'm not in the bed with those two. I'm not in the bed with them and everybody else that they join in their bedroom. And Jason Isaac Fields is engaged in targeting me while he's been having sex with other people that I know, such as Shanita Ramaya McLean. This chubby, fake, demon-possessed third party who's engaging in the pattern of conduct with the entity that's engaged in coordinated conduct right now. This employee is slamming her door while the other one's alarm goes off. They're both going to prison. Lupe's license plate is 9 George Wendy Jerry 314. And the entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct while they are gang stalking based on the coordinated conduct of Jason Isaac Fields, who has engaged in what is organizing the ways in which I will be targeted, and doing so with regard to what is the ongoing psychopathic conduct of a sexual nature, targeting me in a sexual manner. While I'm not the one having sex with them, Jason Isaac Fields is having sex with everyone that I know, and also engaging in what is seeking to get information that's not helpful to him. He thought that it was helpful. He thought that having sex with this chubby whore, Shanita, who's a demon just like him, and doesn't have any information that's going to help him. You cannot affect me while you're infecting each other with HIV and whatever other else infections that they have. That's the only thing that they're sharing. They're sharing their mental illness with one another. They're sharing their intimate details regarding their sick obsession with me. But Jason Isaac Fields is going around having sex with people like Shanita Ramaya McLean that I do not associate with, and doing so with regard to an obsession with me. It's the same thing that Jason Isaac Fields is doing with my mother. You need to understand that this is the mental illness shared by a population. Okay? So the entity is engaging what is having sex with anyone that I associate with. They are psychotic. This is understanding what this sex feature. This is relevant to what is the what is a Jezebel spirit. So this is demon possession. So this is mental illness, and it's the focus is everything is sexualized. If I talk to somebody, or if I would have shown interest in someone, Jason Isaac Fields, Tracy Banks, these cult members go have sex with them. Okay. And then they sit up and they study what it is, because they're engaged in this is mentally ill behavior. And I don't want to go too deep into this. It's very sick and twisted, and it's also an illusion. That's why they are being exposed for gang stalking, so that nobody else will ever be afraid of this, and that you also know what it is, and you can break it down, and you're also going to prosecute it with tangible evidence, and the entity engaging in that is going to be committed. But the entity is engaging in what is spiritually attacking you. Having sex with people that you associate with is a means of exchanging demons that are in contact with me when they talk to me. Understand that. Those demons that are in those people are obsessed with me. So you go and have sex with those people that associated with me, and that's what they think in their minds. They've been deceived by Satan. They're mentally ill. But their fixation, their obsession goes to their infected genitalia. This is why you have a gang of them that have HIV. Okay. And Satan was telling them that they're gaining some spiritual authority from me. I'm embarrassing them and exposing the fact that they're infected. While, by the way, they know that that's very unpopular, very something that you certainly don't desire. That's why they're relying on my character, saying, I am the one that has HIV. Is that right? I have HIV. I infected you with HIV. When Jason Isaac Fields is sleeping with Tracy Banks and Shanita Ramaya McClain, they're both nasty whores. That's disgusting. Tracy Banks, who is a mother figure, is obsessed with my vagina. That's a lesbian, a predator. This is what I'm describing to you about the people of the state. Tracy's not different because she's a blood relative. Tracy is a demon-possessed person. The demon-possessed don't have a race. They don't have a relational association with you. You're dealing with the spirit, and that's why you have that identical pattern of conduct, the obsession with your genitalia, and it's entirely inappropriate because that's your relative. But you're not dealing with that person. You're dealing with that demon that is mentally ill in that person. It's manifesting as mental illness, i.e. obsession with your child's genitalia, sexually attracted to a child in the first place, and then someone else being sexually attracted to them, and they're both sharing in an obsession with your genitalia. This is what Jason Fields is, while he's organizing gang stalking. And he calls himself clever in doing that. And this is an entity, this is again a murderer. This is a serial killer. While you're organizing gang stalking, okay, you're gonna do this, and you're gonna do this, and you're gonna put this video up on YouTube, and you're gonna target here, and you're gonna say these specific things because this is gonna have this impact, and then we're going to do this ritual over here while you're practicing that at the same time, while you're stating that, and this is gonna cause her to have a breakdown. When she knows that I'm having sex with her mom and having sex with Shanita, she's going to have an emotional breakdown, and then we'll be able to siphon all her energy. And then we'll be able to engage in what is effectively proving. We'll get her on video and then take it to court and show the court how she's crazy, like we've been stating the whole time, because we need more evidence to prove that she's crazy. And the entity is engaging in what is also claiming ownership of my intellectual property. This is a psychopath. Just to put it in long and short term, that's literally what they thought. Having sex with all manner of people was going to help them prove that I'm crazy. While you're having sex with other people, do you understand how there is absolutely no nexus there? Your sexual activity that I'm not involved in is supposed to cause me to go crazy. This is the entity's failed witchcraft. They're being committed. You're going to break it down. You're going to break it down into what they engage in, their behaviors, and they're being committed by it. Okay? The entities, this is what Jason Isaac Fields has been doing for years. All right? This is what Tracy Banks has been doing. Okay? This is what Tracy Banks, this is what you need to know. Tracy Banks and Jason Fields are together sharing in sexually perverted psychosis. All right. And they're engaged in what is obsessing over me, and their sexual activity inspires companies like Southwest Airlines and Delta Airlines and the U.S. military to engage in following through with that failed plan. Their infected genitalia, which has no nexus with me, is why all these people should gang stalk me, because that's literally what they've gone in on. This is witchcraft that they practice against each other. Each other. All right, each other, all of them that are engaged in sexual perversion, that are engaged in what is this demonic lifestyle, that are mentally ill because of demon possession. But what you do with your HIV infected genitalia, in fact, has nothing to do with me. Absolutely nothing. And this is, I want to be clear, this gang stalking has been organized by Jason Isaac Fields, who is sexually entangled with and will forever be linked with the decrepit vagina that he was swimming in, which is belonging to my mother, who was over 60 years old. This is somebody who will never be associated with me. And I don't care what you call yourself doing. If you try to lie and state that you weren't in love, you were just having sex, nobody cares. You did it. That's gross, and you're staying away from me. You were gang stalking me in furtherance of murder. You think that this is a game, some sort of Hunger Games, and you were just testing to see who was more spiritually powerful. You're psychotic, and you are equally engaged in criminal activity. You're going to be committed. You're engaged in what is conducting an investigation, or you were doing that as a legitimate federal agent. You think so? While I'm subject to real criminal conduct, you're going to prison. There is no protection, no authority for the government to target in this manner and then claim that you allowed an American citizen to be targeted because you're conducting an investigation. You're going to prison. License plate 6 Sam George Larry 734. It is also relevant that the entity is still targeting Jason Isaac Fields, the federal government. He's no legitimate federal agent. He's going to be put in prison. He's going to be committed. Because what you need to know is that he's at the forefront of this. He's leading it. He is why David Quinones and those that are coming into the store, welcomed by David Quinones, are engaged in monitoring my vagina, which Jason Isaac Fields and his sex partner, my 60-plus-year-old mother, are worshiping. Okay? This is the entity that's engaging in, and this is very dangerous when someone is worshiping your genitalia. This is how you find yourself on the internet, nude, regarding cameras that you don't know are in your home, while a bunch of strangers are also charging a fee for you to be viewed in that manner. And then the entity is also then submitting that content into a courtroom where you're not present and you don't have any information, no knowledge about it. And they're claiming that you put yourself in that predicament, that you are the one that's putting yourself on OnlyFans, 9 Sam Mary Zebra 953, viewing me on the internet with these sex offenders that are gang stalking me in real time. This is what Jason Isaac Fields is engaging. He's being committed. There is no legal grounds for what Jason Isaac Fields has engaged in. And there will be no back alley negotiation. Oh, well, you're going to pay me my money and this is how. No, you're not. He's going to prison. And were he to come around me offering to give me money, that is, again, the entity that is threatening my life and safety. He is going to federal prison, and he in particular is severely mentally ill, organizing this psychotic conduct, stalking by virtue of being next to something that's near me. Stalking and keeping your back to me, and that's supposed to suggest that you're not stalking me. Stalking me in planes and helicopters from city to city. Stalking and doing so obsessively, even while you're caught doing it. This is organized by Jason Fields. Okay, he is the part of the homosexual military. Okay, he's a homosexual. He hates women. That's why he's having sex with this old decrepit woman. That's why he's having sex with Shanita Ramaya McClain, somebody that was a fake friend. Okay, she's having sex with somebody that I never even introduced her to. When did their infected genitalia even come into association? And it's the same thing with Tracy Banks. Never introduced her to Jason Isaac Fields, but yet they're sexually intertwined, and it's absolutely disgusting. Okay, they're a bunch of maggots climbing and sliming all over each other, and they do so worshiping me. These are the demon possessed. These are the mentally ill that are then using positions that they are unfit to be in, and stalking while being in the U.S. military, stalking while being in law enforcement, stalking while working at the city library, stalking while living in your neighborhood, stalking while targeting on the roads and the highways as the entity, a population of demons that are engaging in this satanic and sexually perverted pattern of conduct. Jason Isaac Fields, as an organizer of this psychotic and sexually violent criminal system, is going to be committed. And this is what I am underscoring. While you have these sex partners of his, these cult members on the internet also spewing out lies that are never ever going to transform or change into reality. And that's already the truth, because no tarot card reader is seeing the truth. Tarot card readers are monitoring spirits. There will be no reconciliation with no gang stalking demon like Jason Isaac Fields, who was a psychopath organizing terrorism, financing terrorism with my money, having sex with everyone that I knew while he is obsessively monitoring me, and having males, these are not men, males coming in and monitoring my vagina, having homosexuals, lesbians coming in and monitoring my vagina. That's a ritual that Jason Isaac Fields is sharing in. While I'm on the internet publishing the fact that Jason Isaac Fields will come nowhere near me, and to stop targeting and monitoring, you have the demons that are coordinated, monitoring together. Massive surveillance, massive coordinated surveillance, sitting right next to me inside of the Upland Public Library. Stalking. In the same manner where the entity is stalking me by helicopter, as I'm publishing on the internet that Jason Isaac Fields will not be reconciling with me. This demon's going to reconcile his criminal activity in a federal cell. That's how it's going to be reconciled. His criminal conduct, And they're all following him with regard to gang stalking me, and they're all following what is going to be prison as well. They followed him into a trap. This is someone who is severely unstable, not just as a gang stalker, but a leader and organizer of it. That is what the entity that includes Jason Isaac Fields is engaged in. And there is no basis under the law where he's engaging in an investigation and any sort of search for the truth and anything that is helping me, he is targeting. And he's not even apologetic or repentant. This demon is aware of the fact that he cannot contend with me. And why would you ever think that in the first place? Because you're a hypersexual, delusional psychopath. Thinking that you're smart when you're nothing other than a nymphomaniac. And you think you're smarter than a bunch of bimbos that you're having sex with when they're drunk all the time. When they're high on cocaine. This is what thought that they were smarter than me. This psychopath that I'm going to have committed for targeting me in this manner. It's not just what he did, it's the way in which he did it. It's what is necessarily wrong with the mind state and what the entity is still doing. There's a reason why they're still gang stalking. There's a reason why Jason Isaac Fields is engaging in what is monitoring and is obsessively doing so. And Tracy Banks is engaging in what is still targeting and is betting that Jason Fields will be able to come near me. And you bet wrong, and you bet against your own life. Because those demons are coming to attack them. You're going to witness what is judgment. That has nothing to do with me. You're practicing witchcraft. You're sending out black magic, death magic. You're engaging in sex magic. You don't have any authority in the spirit to do that. You certainly cannot contend with the Holy Spirit. You are no formidable adversary. You're nothing other than a monitoring, heavily documented defendant in the physical and in the spiritual is what I'm referring to. You have been entirely defeated. And what is not even going on, it's already been decreed that you lost. You are showing your mental illness. You're being committed. This is how bad you lost. You're being committed. I'm creating what is policy to have you and those engaging in your shared pattern of conduct involuntarily committed. This is how bad you lost. Jason Isaac Fields is going to be committed just right along with his wife, his sex partner, with whom he was engaged in sexually violating and engaging in incestuous sexual activity with, again, under the mentally ill impression that he is going to affect me. For someone to engage in that behavior, this is exactly what he thought. Okay, and I can tell you what he thought in the same way that I'm telling you what these demons are thinking while they're engaging in it, and I'm telling you before they even do it. I'm absolutely telling you what he thought. And I'm also providing evidence, tangible evidence regarding what I'm subject to pertaining to what this demon thought. That's why I'm being gang stalked in the way in which I'm being gang stalked, because of what this sex offender thought. There is no nexus between an outsider and your sexual activity with another person or people. Like with this nymphomaniac. Nymphomania is nothing other than demon possession. It's a Jezebel spirit. He's a demon. The entity that's engaging what is attacking you and is engaging in this reckless lifestyle, infecting other people with STDs in doing so. That's the entity. Those are actors that are going to be subject to commitments. Okay, this is an entity that is inspiring companies. This is why Delta Airlines, American Airlines, Amazon Prime, this is why FedEx, UPS, this is why these commercial airline companies, this is why the U.S. military and helicopters, this is why the Ontario Police Department engaged in kidnapping. Jason Isaac Fields is being committed. Okay, he is a gang stalking organizer. Gang stalking organizers are being involuntarily committed. They're not merely going to prison. This is the P.O.C. Jason Isaac Fields, I will repeat, he will never be coming near me. He ever steps near me, it is an act of aggression, and it will be a documented act of aggression. I am documenting him on a ceaseless basis, including while the YMCA sex offender pedophile comes in to monitor my vagina and then walks into the parking lot gang stalking me with the U.S. military and drives a van full of minor children back to the YMCA. Okay, this is an entity that's engaging in that conduct, and Jason Isaac Fields is going to prison, and he's going to the part of prison where he's talking to that lady 2 to 3 times a week. He's going to be subject to a battery of tests, and he's going to stay there because they will absolutely, based on this evidence, be able to diagnose what is severe instability that an entity is cloaking. When they're all engaging in the same demented behaviors, this is an entity that seeks to normalize that, and there's nothing normal about it, as I've shown you their criminal conduct. Nothing at all. And in fact, you have what is the entity that's going to be subject to martial law, and they will be subject to systematic commitments. There are facilities that are being built and that shall be built in order to house psychopaths, terrorists like Jason Isaac Fields. Okay? Nobody that was swimming between the legs of this decrepit sex offender, Tracy Banks, and Jason Fields is a sex offender as well. He was swimming between this old hag's legs. swimming, drowning, okay? Humping on this 60-year-old woman and obsessing over me sexually while doing so. That is some sort of never before contemplated basis of mental illness and perversion. Okay, it's not witchcraft. They're demons and they're perverted. And that's a level of perversion that needs to be openly exposed. That's what's wrong with him. That's what he's been doing. And that's what the homosexuals of the U.S. military do. They sit around, look at you in the nude, and they pray to Satan and engage in rituals. They call that witchcraft. It's called being a sex offender. And it's going to manifest into criminal charges, federal in nature. The entity is mentally ill while they engage in this. I just want to be clear. What you are learning is that following Satan, demon possession, there's nothing cool or sexy about it. It's going to have you wound up in a mental facility. Because Satan takes your right mind. If you ever had one. Because these demons give birth to demons. They come out the womb and they train them up in the ways of Satan. In this corrupt society that's seeking to normalize psychopathic disorders. Okay, they're living and raising children and existing and maintaining businesses and engaging in this criminal system under a fake sun. They're unstable and they engage in sexual activity with each other of that nature to that degree. And convinced in their sick, demented minds that they're affecting someone. I'm not in your bedroom, but the fact that you are engaging in criminal activity against me, conspiring my murder, and you're creating some sort of nexus, this is how obsessed you are, there's some sort of nexus in your sick mind regarding your genitalia and somebody else's, and I'm nowhere in the bedroom. I'm not even interested in you. I'm not talking to you, and I haven't for years. You're going to be committed with that. You're going to be committed with that. That is a threat to themselves and other people. This is the entity that's engaging that. Jason Isaac Fields is embarrassed. Jason Isaac Fields is no legitimate officer or engaged in any law enforcement. Jason Isaac Fields is being humiliated because he thought that he was going to provide what is an audience and have me killed, have me suffer in front of an audience. He's a psychopath. This is a serial killer. And this serial killer engages in serial sexually perverted conduct as well. This is someone who needs to be put out of their misery, locked up in a facility. And that's exactly what's happening. He wants to point their finger. They all want to point their finger at Tracy Banks. Tracy Banks is not in this alone. All right, Tracy Banks had the help of all these psychopaths that engaged in fixating on my vagina right along with her. They engaged in stalking and defaming my character right along with her. How do you get Ariana Lopez in that courtroom? Because Ariana Lopez is lying out of her chunky face. Okay? All right, this chubby, jealous Jezebel is envious. And there was never any issues. There was never any mental illness while she's going with me and I'm going to law school. All right. I'm inviting her with me while I'm starting my first year of law school and you're joining me to go undertake that ongoing new chapter in my life. There's no mental illness where you are going with me on that exciting adventure, where you're staying stuck in Rialto, California, gang stalking people. Okay, there's no sign of mental illness when Carrie Heberlin is hanging out with me and we're children. She's the one that's murdering people. She's the one that's pulling out guns and shooting children dead. She's the one that's doing that. While you're sitting in a courtroom defaming my character and I did not judge you. I stood by you while you're shooting at other people. You were a demon when we were children. And you're a demon now. Having sex with Jason Isaac Fields, solidifying your allegiance to Satan. And you lost in that endeavor. Every single last one of you psychopaths are going to prison, and that's where you perverts belong. And all of your details need to be out in the open, because this is a means of identifying mental illness that is not private. It's not private because they're having sex in their bedroom. It's a public issue. It's a national security threat because they bring their sexual activity and attack other people with it. And they call it witchcraft. They're mentally ill. This is the P.O.C. Jason Isaac Fields isn't coming anywhere near me. And if he does, it will be a documented act of aggression, which is going to add to what is enhanced time in prison. And the longer and the more that I remain subject to this, the longer he's going to prison. And that's the same with this entity. Okay? This is the P.O.C. It is currently 7:35 a.m. You need to understand what is the ongoing relevant damages by companies that are gang stalking, by the city of Ontario, that's gang stalking, San Bernardino County, that's gang stalking, engaging in criminal defamation. Remember, every defamatory syllable that was uttered, they're all going to prison, while they're the ones engaging in mentally ill, sexually perverted conduct, and you're defaming my character. That will never make mental illness, but you will be going to prison and you will be committed while you are projecting your sickness onto someone else, when I have nothing to do with the truth about what you've done. And the entity is hostile while I tell all their secrets. That's why you're flying in circles over me by helicopter. But that's okay. You're getting committed behind that. You're getting committed by it.
The entity is engaged in psychopathic behavior, stalking in a grocery store, okay? They're doing so while they are very much hostile, because you need to know about the sexual perversions of demons like Jason Fields, who represents the homosexual military that are stalking me, somebody whose money he cannot have, and he's going to prison for stealing it. And he is so psychotic, he thought that his sexual activity was going to get him my money. That's because he needs to be locked up in a facility. That's why. That's why he thought that. It will never happen, and he's going to prison for the ongoing population of demons that are stalking me, for his homosexual partners in the military that are stalking me, for his sexual activity with my decrepit mother in between her cellulite-ridden thighs, drowning there and engaging what is looking for information about me where you're not going to find it. He needs to be locked up for his own good. Okay, I just want to document San Bernardino County is gang stalking. They're walking in, Satan engaged in any means of trying to show this is the entity that's triggered by me. I'm not triggered by them. San Bernardino County and anybody that I documented. Marcella is going to prison. If you think that that's her, Marcella is of San Bernardino County, she's going to prison. She's going to federal prison. San Bernardino County that engaged in kidnapping on June 16, 2022. I'm documenting San Bernardino County gang stalking me on the roads and the highways, which you know surveillance is underway under the fake sun. San Bernardino County gang stalking me while I'm at the Ramada by Windham under the fake sun with the demons of the U.S. military by helicopter. Remember that documentation? San Bernardino County is going to federal prison. I document them engaging in what is criminal defamation, and they failed in that. The mentally ill are those that are engaging in what is illicit sexual conduct, which they, in their sick, twisted minds, think has some sort of affect on people that are not in the bedroom with them. All right? These hypersexual, promiscuous, homosexual deviants are engaging in criminal activity. All right, they are engaging in criminal conduct, which is perpetuated by mentally ill conduct, the mentally ill that are having sex with each other, in other words, and they need to be chained down and restrained. That's what's happening. This is the P.O.C. All right, a whole bunch of hostile demons are pacing around me. They can be as hostile as they want because they're hostile. Third parties are going to prison. All right, Jason Fields will never be coming near me. He is going to be prosecuted. He's going down for what is a terrorist, and he's organized this, having sex with people that I know while he thought that he was gaining intel on me. That's born of his obsession. That obsession is relevant to mental illness, that ongoing targeting for feigning to be a sane person. When I met him at San Bernardino Valley College, he's been having sex with Tracy Banks for years, married her, stole from her, conspired against me. That level of conduct in the first place is psychotic. It's a threat. Okay, this is a suicidal person. And this is someone that's engaged in targeting me because he hates himself, he hates women. While he's also still having sex with them, he's using them with regard to what is this mentally ill conduct. And that's not my problem. I don't care about any of that. I care about putting this psychopath where he belongs based on the ways in which he's engaged in violating me, and he's never going to violate anybody else again because he's getting locked up behind targeting me. This is the P.O.C. at 7:38 a.m. This is directly rooted. There is a nexus here behind Jason Isaac Fields' psychopathic sexual practices and my being gang stalked inside of the Stater Brothers. All right, this is the cult conduct of the entity, and I want to be clear, these cult members make up these companies that are gang stalking: Southwest Airlines, Delta Airlines, Amazon Prime. They make up these corrupt companies that are gang stalking Stater Brothers personnel, El Pollo Loco, San Bernardino County, bunch of cult members, a bunch of demons, psychopaths. All right, and that's proven with evidence. When San Bernardino County, this entity engaged in what is just making up information, and they thought that was going to be the end of the story. Oh, no. There's more, and we're going to actually revisit the things that you said while you've been gang stalking in this manner. The helicopter activity over me, where is that mental illness relevant, or how is it true when the entity is engaged in what is doing dips and dives and stalking and flying in circles over me around all those that are claiming that I am mentally ill? That's relevant to what is money that they want that they're not getting. Money that they stole, money that they had sex for, to gain. They have sex for money. That's what prostitutes do. Okay, and that's what's defaming my character. Like I said, they couldn't talk poorly about a filthy toilet. Okay, that has more character than these sexual psychopaths. This is what's behind the cult conduct, the criminal activity of companies, and they're going to be prosecuted for it. They're going to be prosecuted for sex trafficking. They're more than just gang stalking. The entity engaged in attempted murder. The entity is engaged in ongoing battery, poisoning me, and then also putting needles in my body while you're systematically poisoning, while you're doing things such as stalking in bathrooms, stalking in parking lots, stalking inside of buildings, and stalking in libraries, and these demons don't even read, stalking under a fake sun. Speaking to the fact that they're all sitting around worshiping me like they do when they take their clothes off and they rub their infected genitalia on each other. These are animals. No matter how they try to dress themselves up, they're all animals. They're demons. And they are the ones that are going to be subject to commitments. That's the P.O.C. That's really what's going on. And the entity is going to be federally prosecuted for it. All right. The infected cursed womb is gang stalking, license 8YNC 992. Gang stalking, coming to the Stater Brothers every day, doing so under the fake sun, stalking with the fire department, stalking with the police, stalking with the U.S. military, and she's going to prison. Okay. This is another lesbian, the box-shaped lesbian with the cursed womb. All right, she's going to federal prison, and this box-shaped lesbian is one that would hop on, and Jason Eisenfields would hop on her too, because you're not talking about any level or necessity of physical attraction. These are demons, and they engage in what is ritualistic behaviors when they engage in such acts of perversion, as you and I would recognize that. You don't go around having sex with everyone. You don't go around having sex with just anything. That's disgusting. Okay, and it's not about being holier than thou. It's understanding actually that is, first of all, abnormal. It's animalistic, and this is what creatures do. Dogs that are dressed up in vessels as people, they're actually demons that are doing that. Those are demons, and they are seeking to normalize that barbaric animalistic behavior, and that is what causes you to be subject to this spiritually poisonous system of gang stalking, where the mentally ill are stalking you with light, they're stalking you with audible activity, they're stalking you in the path, they're engaged in gang stalking you as the demon possessed, and that is the program of psychological torture, and you're only affected by it if you are a demon like them. These demons are being committed, and the evidence of their criminal pattern of conduct is going to have them put away. And relevant context is that you need to know these are the whores, these are the HIV-infected cockroaches that are engaging in what is criminal activity and sexually perverted acts that has nothing to even do with you while they worship you. All right, that's the entity that's engaged in that. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, the entity's engaging in that. Remember, the entity that's engaging in the P.O.C. is not free to do so, because they do so while it's serving the pattern of conduct. You're going to prison, you're being committed. You and your box shaping cursed womb. That's the pattern of conduct. License 8, Yolanda Nancy Charlie 992. P.O.C. It is currently 7:43 a.m. Alrighty, that's San Bernardino County. That's monitoring with Stater Brothers.
Maribel, 125.
And that's the use of the PA system. Can I help you? Oh, you're just staring? Okay. That's the entity that's monitoring. Again, the mentally ill find it significant. It's only in their mind. They're monitoring. San Bernardino County is the entity that engaged in criminal defamation and kidnapping with Jason Isaac Fields, Tracy Banks. The people of the state that entered in courtrooms and lied on my character, every single last one of them are going to prison, and Jason Isaac Fields is not committing or maintaining or conducting any investigation. He's still engaged in targeting just like he was then. The entity is engaging in that conduct while they are monitoring San Bernardino County, and that's what is significant. I've shown you the demons that engage in symbolic behavior, territorial demons that are stalking me at Starbucks. If I'm at the Ovid Family Community Library and I'm talking about how Starbucks did X, Y, and Z, the next day a demon from that venue will come and gang stalk me at the library, just like they're doing in different cities, stalking from the Upland Public Library at the Ovid Family Community Library when I refer to Upland while in Ontario, and vice versa. This is what the entity is doing. So San Bernardino County likes to engage in this is what you'll pay attention to. The entity will engage in what is targeting through what is the entity that sought to criminally defame, and they in turn expose their mental illness. They're going to be committed while working for San Bernardino County in the behavioral health sector. They're going to be committed while defaming my character and sitting in court perjuring themselves. They're going to be committed while organizing criminal defamation, which is what Jason Isaac Fields did with the Ontario Police Department, San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, and San Bernardino County that's engaging in any means of representing that entity that engaged in that effort, criminal effort, that's committed as an entity. That's what's inside, and as they walk out, they're engaged in monitoring me. Okay, San Bernardino, Stater Brothers engagement in seeking to psychological torture. These are failed psychological torture tactics. Everybody inside of this store is going to prison. The employees are going to prison. But I want to document that because you're going out of your way to do it, and it's relevant to damages. I'm going to take all your money, and then you're going to prison. All right? The entities engaging in that conduct with San Bernardino County, and what's the significance behind that? The mentally ill posit in their mind that they will represent that ongoing threat, and it's going to terrorize you and frighten you, and it's going to trigger that ongoing memory when you were kidnapped, when you were defamed before being kidnapped, and you were defamed while you were being kidnapped, and the entity forced you into a position of being a patient of San Bernardino County, creating by force and by kidnapping pursuant to this pattern of conduct that I'm documenting as Stater Brothers. They engaged in what is battering me, putting God knows what in my body, and claiming that it was medication that I refused pursuant to not being a patient, pursuant to kidnapping me, stating that I abused, that I molested a child. That was what Ovid Family Community Library did. This is what's behind that. No small thing. San Bernardino County represents that threat that they are posing while it is only significant to them. It is not triggering for me. It's evidence for me. You're going to prison behind that. But this is what the entity does. Jason Fields is going to prison. He's organized that. Stater Brothers is engaging in that. Hi, Pamela. Stater Brothers is organizing that while San Bernardino County goes out of its way to enter into the venue while you're listening to that very damning discussion that I just had by a podcast. Okay, that's what's behind that. That's the purpose behind that. It's psychological torture. Damages, companies are going to be compensated to a destructive degree regarding psychological torture while they're engaging in surveillance in the food industry where you're already going to prison. This is P.O.C. That's what's behind the store alarm going off as San Bernardino County is crossing my path. That is stalking inside of the venue of Stater Brothers that you already know is stalking. They literally provided ongoing evidence. And the entity that is speaking to everybody in this grocery store that is targeting me, which is also a threat to my life and psychologically harmful. Stater Brothers is going out of business. In other words, this is P.O.C. Jason Fields is going to federal prison. It is currently 7:47 a.m. All right, I just want to be clear. The San Bernardino County, very triggered, okay? These are demons. These are psychopaths. So the mentally ill that try to cloak their rage, their discontentment with their own identity, with who they are, with the curse that is on them, which is why they target people like myself who are not cursed. The entity is engaged in what is re-entering the venue. San Bernardino County re-enters, okay? Just to engage in, remember, all they're doing is pacing. That's all they want to do is pace all around me. So the same actors re-enter after I document that, after they engage in that iteration of the P.O.C. And then upon my exit, this is the mentally ill pattern of conduct, light activity, relevant positioning. As I exit, what is the entity's pattern of conduct? Crossing paths with a large blinking signage, monitoring. This is the entity that does so also with the plain activity and impossible light activity inside of the store. San Bernardino County is in the parking lot in a large orange truck. This is, again, representing the presence of that entity that engaged in criminal defamation. And the entity that is mentally ill, the entity that is triggered by the truth that I speak, the entity that is being exposed as demons and is very enraged about that, engages in what is seeking to engage in what is targeting in the most bombastic, the most violent, the most triggering way that they can think of, okay? That includes helicopter activity, overly used, very heavily documented. You're proven to be stalking me, and you're a proven psychopath. The entity is engaging in that while you document the people of the state, like I'm embarrassing Jason Isaac Fields, like I did yesterday. And what is the entity doing? Stalking by helicopter over the Upland Public Library. As I embarrass Jason Fields, and I'm speaking to the fact that this demon's being committed, and he's not going to come anywhere near me. He's going to regret it. And we're going to do an up close and personal detail about his homosexuality while he's engaged in what is stalking me. So he's not coming anywhere near me. Not only this, the entity is stalking inside of that library while I document that. And I'm capturing this, so I'm just going over what I already documented yesterday. While I'm referring to the entity that is gang stalking and the sexual exploits of this pervert that engages and shares an incestuous, sexually violent, demented conduct with his sex partner, this old decrepit grandma that he married and has been committed to, okay, while he thought swimming between her legs was going to get him all the riches in the world because he's mentally ill. All right, these are demons engaged in failed witchcraft. This is how Satan gets his followers who are old and used up and worn out. This is how Satan provides what are the things that they want in life while they follow him. Okay, such as getting someone to have sex with you, marry and commit you because they think they're going to get something. There's some sort of benefit. That person is also wicked to fall for that. But this is how Satan tricks people into getting the things that they want. And it's always temporary. Okay, but nonetheless, Jason Isaac Fields, he did that, swimming in between this decrepit woman's legs and calling it witchcraft. And while this is the entity that's engaging in what is witchcraft targeting me together, and their sexually perverted, reckless conduct, including the evidence of them being infected with incurable STDs, is going to be used to have them committed. There is no nexus between me, and that's exactly what they did, targeting me with their sexually perverted and demented activity that they engage in together that I don't have anything to do with. And then all the people with HIV are gang stalking me and getting out the rest of the entity to gang stalk me. And Jason Isaac Fields is a gang stalking organizer, and he's going to be committed behind even conjuring these things up. Having sex, his sexual activity with the people that I know is going to be used to have him committed. The fact of who he had sex with behind my back, and he thought, oh, that's going to trigger her, and this is going to cause her to have a breakdown, and this is going to be able, I'm going to be able to get away with stealing from her, and I'll be able to convince the court and provide evidence that she's crazy while he's engaging in psychotic conduct such as having sex with everybody whose name I know, male and female. Okay, this is an entity that's engaging in what is very much delusional conduct. This is what an entity practices. This is a cult. This is satanic. Okay, while I'm referring to this, San Bernardino County. That's the most triggering thing they can think of. I don't care. No feces consumer can trigger me. I'm smarter than you. That's just the fact. If I wasn't, you wouldn't be surrounded with the P.O.C. The P.O.C. that you also want to take and cannot, you're psychotic, cannot take ownership of. Try to claim ownership that you had anything to do with you are documented. That's it. You're the stalker that's surrounded by the evidence of the P.O.C. That's the only type of involvement you have, Satan. Okay, so the entities engaging in this, and the entities engaging in conduct that, again, is always beneath me. And as I trample on their faces, I'm getting evidence, speaking to, see, this is the stalking, this is the same pattern, this is the identical P.O.C., and it is an entity because it's impossible that they're mimicking the same P.O.C. and they're not having a meeting together. San Bernardino County didn't meet up with Stater Brothers personnel and thought, okay, well, we're going to go and we're going to wait for her to say this and then she's going to go. No, under the fake sun? No. They're demons. And this is the state system. And when the entity is triggered by the truth that you speak, when the entity seeks to target you, they do so with helicopters, which is going to put the city police in prison and in mental institutions. And the demons of the military in institutions, mental institutions, are going to prison. And organizers like Jason Fields, who engages in sexual activity and then gets up and organizes terrorizing you and does so with regard to targeting money that you have that doesn't belong to him because he's not a man and he can't own his own money, because he's engaged in what is stealing from women, engaging in what is targeting them in ways in which they become incapacitated, such as with failed witchcraft. Like, that was going to cause me to submit to him. This fool is sick. This is very sick. There will be no reconciliation. Your spell work is mentally ill behavior with which I will have you committed. You come near me, you will regret it. You already regret it. That's why you're being humiliated on the internet. And stalking me by helicopter is putting you in prison. I just want you to know it's an ongoing, immediate return to you. These little dunces that are gang stalking me, these flying monkeys, these demons, they're getting you in trouble, themselves and you in trouble. You cannot touch me because you're beneath me. You are literally the exposed and proven defendant. You're no investigator. You have no authority under the law. There is no such thing as investigating while terrorizing at the same time and claiming that your terrorist conduct that an American citizen suffered was in furtherance of the truth in an investigation. You are lying, and you're also an unintelligent liar. You're going to prison. You're going to prison. This is what Jason Fields is recognizing. Too late in his game. He enjoys, they enjoy, demons enjoy causing innocent people to suffer. They watch it like in the Olympics, and then they engage in what is sharing whatever it is that they gain from it. He's going to prison. This is his last round, people. This is his last rodeo. He's getting locked up. This is the P.O.C. San Bernardino County is so triggered by what it is that I stated. It's the truth about what they did. All right, you heard the store alarm. They had the store alarm go off about 6 times this morning. They're monitoring. And I want to be clear, even if it's not a matter, is it really broken? They break things, in other words, also, it doesn't matter. The question is not that. The question is, are they monitoring? Is it light activity, audible activity in the specific environment? Is the government or is it not stalking in the parking lot in commercial planes that will in court be proven to be completely out of the zoning, completely out of place, improper for it to happen at any time of day? Yes or no? Because that's exactly what it is. It is the P.O.C. And San Bernardino County is triggered. These demons that thought that they could, because you're in that position, because you're in that Department of Behavioral Health, I'll have everybody in Behavioral Health Department put away. That's how much it's not happening. I'm gang stalking the Behavioral Health Division as psychopaths under a fake sun. Amazing place on Inland Empire Boulevard. I rest my case. The entities engaging in psychopathic behavior while they in positions regarding what is the practicing of behavioral health, mental health, and they're engaging in psychological torture, which is the direct opposite of what is compassionate, healing, therapeutic conduct, where you are garnering in a peace and you're garnering in what is a healing nature and a healing environment. They're targeting and psychologically torturing, and further into then using those positions to abuse and exploit. Remember, when you're engaging in this, you don't actually have authority under the law. You're not actually engaging in what is the lawful practice of medicine. This is dressing up as a costume, and you're going to be prosecuted. You're going to prison because you use that position to engage in surveillance. To be licensed in medicine is not your right to, or ability to, or lawful engagement in diagnosing pursuant to this pattern of conduct. You're going to prison, okay? All these demons are learning this too late. Everybody that joined up with these homosexuals with Jason Fields, you're all going to prison. Every single last one of you. You're engaging in criminal defamation, which is why San Bernardino County is present. They are symbolic regarding the entity that is hostile to me, and they engage in what is criminal defamation and kidnapping repeatedly with San Bernardino County. And San Bernardino County is being broke down and gutted out. I'm going to prosecute that corrupt entity. Fontana Lewis Library, San Bernardino County, that's gang stalking. San Bernardino County is the TAD office on Hull Boulevard, where now Southwest Airlines is acting like they're taking off here. What are you doing across the street from the United States Postal Service and across the street from the TAD office at 1627 East Hull? When are you ending your takeoff? Why are you perpetually hovering through the city? And why is a fake sun remaining over me while you do it? Okay, because they are in fact mentally ill, and they are going to be assessed while they're engaging in that criminal pattern of conduct. The entities engaging in psychopathic conduct while they are in the medical field. Psychopathic and criminal conduct while they're in the military and in the legal, law enforcement. And they are unfit to do so. These are strategically placed demons that are engaging in this malicious system, which is public corruption. Permitting and sharing in criminal activity with the public, which is what Stater Brothers is. Gang stalking with those that are representing that threat. You're engaging in psychological torture. Stater Brothers employees, including Pamela, including the employees, David Quinones, and the vendors that are in there stalking as psychopaths. They're all going to prison. That's your reward. Okay? You're all going to federal prison. And this is what a demon, such as a demon-possessed person, is inherently lower. Everything about how they think, how they operate, is lower, meaning inferior. So you have a fool, in other words, that tried to contend with me based on irrational emotion, based on sexual perversion. That's where you're coming from. And you're trying to contend with me. Okay? And you're trying to, in other words, you're coming against the Lord God himself. You're a fool. You're a suicidal one as well. And I'm prosecuting. You are a defendant in a very real, ongoing, progressive criminal case. And by the way, your co-defendants are putting you away for me. That's how smart you are, Jason. Jason's going to prison. Okay, Jason is a terrorist. Jason is one that this entity utilized, and he is he can't even, this is somebody that is literally relying on, here's my position, and this is literally just the title is what I'm using to engage in very obvious criminal activity. Okay, that's how obvious it is. All right, this is someone who never should have targeted me in the first place. That is, if he didn't want to be caught, if he did not want to be shown to be a psychopath, a sex offender, a criminal, someone that is corrupt, someone that is entirely unethical, which is speaking to the department that hired him in the first place, him and everyone that he's affiliated with, the branch of military that he's in, the law enforcement that he's in. They are corrupt as well. They are gang stalkers as well. They're engaged in terrorism as well. They're sex cult members as well. They're perverts. They're psychopaths. They're delusional. They're over here dipping and diving and doing cartwheels and planes as well, showing their mental illness in HD. It's going to be in court. I mean, as clearly as you see the video, they're being committed. Systematic, like a factory. They're being committed. All right, the entities engaging in this pattern of conduct, and I just want to be clear, San Bernardino County is the one that's engaging with a symbolic presence. This is a pattern, so I'm letting you know what is a tactic. What's the bigger idea if you don't understand what it is that I'm describing? It's psychological torture. I'm speaking to the federal government. I'm speaking to those regarding legislating around this system. Psychological torture tactics are recognized through the entity's ongoing pattern of conduct regarding massive comprehensive surveillance. The entity is representing what is presence through that entity that committed criminal defamation and kidnapping serially with San Bernardino County. That is Stacy Dykes. That is Mike Lorenz, Derek Williams kidnapping. That is Tracy Banks, Woodside Senior Apartments. That is Economy Inn Motel. That is Ovid Family Community Library. This is the entity that is engaging in this kidnapping repeatedly upon criminal defamation. They're lying when they're engaged in criminal summoning, which is then a kidnapping, and then they're engaging in what is sexual assault and battery, merely to kidnap me, strip my clothes off me, and put me in the ward area where they kept me outside of the bounds of the law. So it was already a kidnapping, and then remember the objective is to defame because Jason Fields and Tracy Banks want my money. So it's bad enough that you're kidnapping me, and then when you kidnap me, it's not even based on what does a trespass have to do, or the entity that's claiming that you are disruptive or whatever, you're battering me, Jason Knighton and Lester Keys, in January 13, 2020, while I'm documenting license plates, which is absolutely lawful, and they're engaged in criminal summoning, and I'm standing on the sidewalk, and I'm behind the vehicle getting the license plate, and the entity is stalking, where the entity is stalking right here in this parking lot. They're stalking in the 7-Eleven parking lot at 636 North Vine Avenue. Jason Knighton and Lester Keys are going to prison, while the airport is shown that's the U.S. military that's getting everybody in trouble because of their obsessive, psychotic, and illogical methods of documented stalking tactics, which are fully documented. There's a record of it. And they committed kidnapping as an entity at the 7-Eleven, where I'm documenting the pattern of conduct. And criminal summoning is underway. And I'm documenting the license plates of the gang stalkers, the same ones that these demons throw. I'm going to call the police. Call the police, Satan, and I'm going to document them as well. And that's exactly what I was doing. And Lester Keys and Jason Knighton physically attacked me. And then they engage in what is putting me in the ward after that. Okay, so first of all, there's a kidnapping there. That's the P.O.C. That has absolutely nothing to do with what they did next, which was kidnap me and place me in the ward. Then the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, they manufactured and engineered an entire fictitious prosecution, which is the court and the sheriff sharing in kidnapping. This is the entity that's conspiring your murder and criminally defaming you, because gang stalking is supposed to depict you as being crazy, because they never anticipated that there will be evidence to prove it. And because the entity is engaging in that which is proven, they are being put in mental wards. Lisa Rogan is going to prison for kidnapping that she committed in February of 2020. And this is following the kidnapping by the same gang stalkers of the Ontario Police Department who have no legitimacy. They're going to prison. Shannon Dykes, you're talking about me documenting these kidnappers. These are demons maintaining facilities where they practice federal group stalking and monitoring, literally with the inmates. I can go on and on. I've already litigated this. It's already in all of the evidence. But I just want to remind you about what they're doing, what is symbolic about stalking by San Bernardino County inside of this venue. And the entity is so triggered, that demon came back in for another round. Okay, I took a picture of him gang stalking with Kia at register number 1. This has no effect. Like your infected genitalia while you're having sex with people that are obsessed with me does not in fact have any nexus to me. But because of your obsession, I'm going to document that, because you're going to prison. It's criminal activity, fool. This is the entity that's engaging that, but he was they're so triggered, he came back in for round 2. So I got the images of him. It's San Bernardino County. San Bernardino County represents a threat. Stater Brothers is engaging in what is criminal defamation. Stater Brothers is engaging in what is psychological torture relevant to San Bernardino County that committed criminal defamation on a series of occasions, on a series of, a series of events are speaking to criminal defamation with the Ontario Police Department, with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, and the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, which is the state of California, okay? San Bernardino County courts that are engaging in the pattern of conduct, which is also why the internet is necessary. Can I help you, sir?
What are you doing?
How can I help you?
What are you doing?
Okay, so anyway, this is a monitoring spirit. So anyway, the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct. This is the people of the state that are just stalking, and so is this third party. I'm going to get their license plate in front of habit, stalking with their lights on. This is a male that's engaging in surveillance as well. This other one over here is pacing in front of me. The entity does so through third parties that want to appear as, what are you doing? These are demons that are monitoring. Okay, it's as demonic and it's as mentally ill if they're wearing a 3-piece suit. Okay, and shiny shoes. All right, this is how demons are engaging in that. They're doing that and it's appropriate because they're drunk. No, they're demons. They're all the same. These are illusions presented to you. They're demon possessed. License 9 Wendy Frank Wendy 939 is engaging in surveillance psychopathic pacing. License 9 Larry Yolanda Apple 853 while the entity is maintaining aerial surveillance. P.O.C. All right, so the entities engaging in the significance of that is psychological torture. That's the tactic. These are demons that are inferior, and this is something that is also nothing that you should be fearful of when you understand the purpose of what they're doing. This is something that will not affect you so much when you're not ignorant about it. The entities engaging in this with regard to the criminal activity that's and the targeting San Bernardino County has been engaged in for years. The TAD office, the Transitional Assistance Department is engaged in targeting that San Bernardino County. The Fontana Lewis Library is engaged in, as I document that San Bernardino County. Venues that are engaging in the criminal monitoring system. San Bernardino County is also targeting on the roads and the highways, as I've documented over the term of years. And they're engaged in what is repeatedly kidnapping with the entity that, and this is led by Jason Isaac Fields. This demon has targeted me through the entity. He's organized it. All right, and he did so thinking that he was going to gang stalk me into thinking or believing it. This is a psychopath. I don't know where these demons, well, I know they're creatures, so. But I'm sorry, but there is no way that you're going to be so disrespectful, try to kill me, and then I'm going to like you. I'm going to have a voluntary conversation with you. This is somebody that's a predator. This is somebody that seeks to rule and take over your ability to think freely. This is someone that wanted to inflict so much trauma that I would just consent to whatever it is that he thought that spell work was going to work on me. This is an evil person, okay? And I'm prosecuting him with tangible evidence. Understand, Jason Isaac Fields is behind what 8 Yolanda Robert Bob 315 is engaging in, gang stalking as an entity. All right, this is organized by him. The entity these companies are targeting with regard to a failed plan. This is what they've been doing. I want to be clear, Jason Isaac Fields is a little up-and-coming demon-possessed puppet who's engaging in that which those much older than him have been doing for decades, and he's doing what he was taught how to do, and he failed at it. He's getting locked up. This demon's not getting out. Okay, so I just want to make sure that that's clear. San Bernardino County re-enters after I document with regard to targeting, wanting to just be, remember, it's significant to them. It's relevant positioning. The demons are engaging in what is worshiping you. They're chanting, and they're pacing all around you under the fake sun and the engineered light. They're monitoring. It's significant when they are in your path. When you are just merely looking at a stalker, you're dumbing it all the way down. They're stalking. It's not witchcraft. There's no spiritual power when it's a matter of physical evidence in a courtroom to put you away. These are delusional idiots. And those organizing it, those benefiting from it, those perpetuating it, facilitating it, enabling it, like Jason Fields, presenting what is this on the internet before an audience, he's going to prison. Okay, there's nothing under the law that says that you are going to be someone that's going to test somebody spiritually and test their power. And if they win, then that's the person that you're going to... This fool is getting locked up. He's going to prison. And if he ever comes near me before that happens, it's going to be more time, and it's going to be for everybody. Everybody's going to suffer. Okay, this was a horrible plan, and Tracy Banks is getting locked up behind it. Tracy Banks is getting locked up for the things that she did, and she's getting locked up for what her puppet of a little boy, this demon gang stalking, engaging in what is performing years of oral sex on her while he is gang stalking me and obsessing over me. No, there will not be any conversation with somebody with Tracy Banks on their breath. Okay, this is somebody that is disgusting, and he's also disgusting regarding the criminal conduct and the demonic behaviors that he's engaged in. This is somebody that would never get any of my time, ever. And if he would have told me he was a homosexual, if he would have told me that he was a stalker, he would have told me he was a demon in the beginning, he knows that. There never would have been a conversation. Go on and write on about your business, Satan, just like I do with everybody else. Okay, there never would have been a conversation. This is somebody that necessarily needed to pose as though they were sane, as though they were normal, as though they were just, seeking out and exploring their educational possibilities like me at Valley College. He was not. He was gang stalking at Valley College. He is no victim of Tracy Banks. He's a predator, and he's an idiotic one. And I'm prosecuting, and I'm embarrassing him while doing so. Anybody else that thinks that you will ever contend with the Holy Spirit, I will make an example out of you, just like these demons are. They're not winning by stalking. Southwest Airlines is going to cease to exist. You're not making any sort of rebuttal statement. You are showing how much of a fool you are. You were never supposed to be gang stalking in front of the whole world. There is no way for you to win. You're delusional and you're psychotic, which is a matter of evidence. You're getting committed behind that. You don't win when you're gang stalking in front of everyone. Everyone knows and witnessing how nobody's imagining it. And I will prosecute you on the internet. I will prosecute you wherever it is that you think that you can gang stalk and nobody sees you. Everybody sees you. That's what I'm here for, to make sure everyone sees you. And your mental illness and your sexually perverted obsession with me who will never be speaking to you. The only sort of statements that will be made about you in a courtroom. Okay, a tribunal, because this is a courtroom right here. In a tribunal, meaning I'm pointing out the defendant and I'm describing the ways in which this defendant has been targeting me with regard to an elaborate entity that's engaging in a system which is directly tethered to this sex offending psychopath that's engaged in having sex with fake friends and family members of mine, which is relevant to the mental illness and the reasons why he is to be committed, why it's a benefit to a protection to the public. Okay, and while my protection, while the fact that I am no longer going to be targeted when that demon is locked up. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 8:27 a.m. Just want to point that out. San Bernardino County going on to underscore the threat, and it's noted. It's noted, California. San Bernardino County, which is the state of California, I just want to be clear, Governor Newsom is at the head of what is the state of California operations, the government itself, okay? The DMV, the Department of Human Resources, San Bernardino County, which is within what is that same umbrella of the state of California. And you are literally underscoring the fact that the state of California is targeting, which is no winning. It's an admission. And these are idiots that were never prepared for a prosecution, because you associate your infected genitalia with targeting somebody's mind, because you're delusional and you have an inferior mind, because it works on you, because you could be peer pressured into homosexuality, because you could be peer pressured into sex trafficking other people, into gang stalking someone else, because you're a weakling, because you're a pathetic being, because you're a lower being, and you've projected yourself into what is an inevitable federal prosecution. And after spending years in prison, you will learn to think for yourself when you spend a lot of time by yourself, locked up. It is currently 8:29 a.m. This is P.O.C.
Alrighty, this is P.O.C. The entity is engaged in the pattern of conduct. They are targeting, this is the fake sun that's remaining over me as I'm traveling, walking up Euclid. This vehicle right here, pulling off real quick, this is a coward that's monitoring. The 10 freeway is monitoring. This is what Upland Police are engaged in. California Highway Patrol, Caltrans. These are the entity that's engaged in surveillance with the people that say, these are the demons that you already know, stalk up with light. What are they doing with Caltrans? They're monitoring. What are they doing with California Highway Patrol? They're monitoring. What are they doing while you're monitoring? What are you as you're monitoring? Your demons. This is the POC. This is occupying what is a open space as I'm walking through doorways, as I'm walking past streets, intersections. The entity is always stalking. This is what they're doing while I'm walking over. This is an open space, the freeway. They're stalking in the path. This is Caltrans. I have Caltrans gang stalking me on the freeways, on the roads and the highways, and the fake sun is over me while I'm on the U.S. highways. While I'm on the state highways, and they're engaging in what is surveillance on the roads and the highways with the people that stay on the freeways, just like they are now on the bridge, engaging in the pattern of conduct. Caltrans is a state actor. This is the POC. This is exposing public corruption. And I want to be clear, these are the companies that are going to be subject to what are martial law. California Highway Patrol are stalking in the path. This is psychopathic pacing. This, contrary to what you've been conditioned to approach it as, is criminal. First of all, it's criminal activity. Second of all, it's mental illness. It's psychopathic pacing. California, that is designed to maintain criminal surveillance, which is demonic activity. All right, Caltrans is gang stalked with California Highway Patrol. License 1480958. I am in the city of Upland. California Highway Patrol is gang stalked with the city of Upland. They are the criminal pattern of conduct is underway by a branch of law enforcement. They're doing so with the U.S. military. It's not different while the entity stalking me by helicopter. You're looking at demons in these uniforms, and they're going to be prosecuted accordingly. 18637B4. This is OFRS that are engaged in the pattern of conduct with the state. Oak Park, you know that they're vagina monitors. They're gang stalking with the state. Corrupt businesses that are gang stalking. This is surveillance. All right, and these are demons, vagina monitors that bear weapons, and they go to prison when they're engaged in this. We're here, what I'm documenting, it's federal prison. And Gavin Newsom, this is the entity that's engaged in what is this criminal pattern of conduct. He places demons in positions of authority over these departments that are engaged in gang stalking. This is the POC. This is surveillance. Where the entity has the fakes in which I've documented, it's nothing but surveillance. There is no respecter of persons. There are a bunch of vagina monitors in positions that they're going to be yanked out of. In the city of Upland, that's already established as a gang stalker. You don't have any legitimacy, and I will prosecute you. License 1619052. That's California Highway Patrol. But this is Enterprise, and the third parties operating that vehicle that are subject to a prosecution. This is massive facilitation. This is a threat to your life by pure numerosity of all those that are gang stalking you at the same time. That's what they're going to prison for. This is POC. 46147 Frank 4, POC. This is impunity, not doing your job. This is impunity. All right, the entity has no authority under the Constitution to engage in surveillance, and now as you're documenting it, they're going to prison. 1619052, California Highway Patrol, bearing guns on their hips. They're gang stalking in the path, exhibiting mental illness while they're doing so, as though it's not happening. That's going to be used to have them committed, and the fake sun is right here over me, and this is light activity. All right, and they're doing it with the city of Upland. Upland Police Department is gang stalking. The demons of AMR are gang stalking. This is the same POC, okay? License plate. The people that say they're monitoring with
law enforcement. This is the public corruption, 1605343. It is currently 9:38 a.m. This is criminal facilitation. It's the same thing when UTILIQuest is stalking at the same bridge with light activity on the vehicle. It's the same thing when the demon possessed are backed up in traffic and they're waiting at the stop sign, building up traffic. It's light activity. It's the same thing when the fake sun is over me and they're molesting with impossible light, moving across the brick wall. It's light activity. They're monitoring. These are demons that are trying to hide behind a position that they're going to be removed from. And this is speaking to the corruption of the state of California. California Highway Patrol is very heavily documented as well, gang stalking. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:39 a.m. All right, the entity is engaging what is holding up that flag. You see that flag? Those are the ones that treat it like they're wiping up fecal matter. Those are un-American criminals that are holding up the American flag, which is, while they're doing so, symbolizing what is terrorism. The exact opposite, while they're gang stalking at that. 9CJT371 65140 Larry 3, P.O.C. at San Antonio and Azure. We already have video evidence and images of the fake sun over me, including stalking by Chino Police Department on this same street, sharing in that. This is 9:39 a.m. in Upland, California, P.O.C. All right, this is the fake sun that was over me the entire time. The entity, I just want to be clear, I'm on 8th Street, so the moment that I turn off of San Antonio, where California Highway Patrol are gang stalking with the people of the state, that's when the fake sun that remained over me the entire time. I've already shown you the entity covering up the fake sun is not evidence that it's not there. The California Highway Patrol are demons engaging in state surveillance, and they're doing so while in the position of law enforcement that's engaging in criminal surveillance in the city of Upland that is already established as a terrorist, a domestic terrorist engaging in the pattern of conduct. I want to document at what is 790 West 8th Street in Upland, California at what is 9:47 a.m. I'm at a plethora of different places, including different cities. The entity is maintained and states. I've documented during daylight savings time. I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada. The entity is keeping the fake sun and it starts shining the moment that I turn the block. California Highway Patrol is gang stalking on this street. They remain engaged in the pattern of conduct. They're all monitoring California Highway Patrol that's creating light activity while they're engaged in psychopathic pacing, mentally ill criminal activity that California Highway Patrol is engaged in, okay? The entity is stalking via aerial surveillance by the United States Postal Service, and they're doing so while the entity is stalking in the sky space with the commercial planes that there's no airport over here. That is California Highway Patrol. That is indeed gang stalking. That's the P.O.C. Those two demons, those officers, the license plates, they're going to federal prison. This is the pattern of conduct. This is the entity that's engaging in what is surveilling me. California Highway Patrol is gang stalking and furtherance of murder. That's why you're going to prison. They have guns on them, on their persons while they're engaging in that malicious pattern of conduct. That's why they're going to prison. They are severely mentally unstable while they're engaging in a highly malicious pattern of conduct, while they're engaging in that, while in those positions simultaneously and facilitating it by a public that's mentally ill. They just go into the library under this fake sun that remains over me until the end of the day to keep my vagina under surveillance. They do so with California Highway Patrol. That's why they are going to prison. That's the P.O.C. 9RHVO23 is stalking. 21570Z3 is stalking. The people that say that 790 West 8th Street in Upland, California are stalking. This is the P.O.C. The California, state of California is gang stalking. That's state surveillance, while the entity is following. Ontario is south, down San Antonio. This is San Antonio. The U.S. military, those are the homosexuals stalking me by commercial planes from the city of Ontario. It has nothing to do with the placement of the international airport, Ontario International Airport, which is being shut down. It is the pattern of conduct for the entity to maintain surveillance through commercial planes because the homosexuals that are mentally ill, that engage in sex rituals and provide some sort of illusion, they're delusional regarding any nexus between the person that they're conspiring to kill and their perverted sex acts, which have caused them to contract HIV. They're mentally ill and they are reckless with regard to the need for them to be confined against their will for the protection of the public. They are crawling into commercial planes because the U.S. military that are perverts, that are mentally ill, posited that no one would suspect that it's surveillance because they're commercial planes in the cities. And that is entirely illogical. Okay, there are laws and zoning provisions and guidelines and agreements that exist, and that does not mean planes are everywhere throughout the city. And not only that, I've shown you the specific environment. The entities engaging in this is the same 8th Street where I am leaving the library at 6 p.m. and at 8th Street and Euclid Avenue, the fake sun is over me. This is the same 8th Street. Look at Google Maps. I've shown you this. I'm walking to Euclid Avenue, and then I'm going right up North Euclid to get to the Upland Public Library. This is the fake sun. This is the entity. The airport's being shut down, and the commercial airline companies are being prosecuted for treason, for conspiracy to murder, for the program of psychological torture, and they will be subject to martial law. There's not going to be an airport. The City of Ontario, the state, there will not be any airports. As I've shown, they are a threat to national security. This is the P.O.C. This is prosecuting California Highway Patrol that are gang stalking, standing around like they're free to do so, and they're going to prison for that. Okay, this is the P.O.C. The entity's pattern of conduct. Cable Airport is also gang stalking, but this is the U.S. military that's engaged in this. The U.S. government's pattern of conduct. Cable Airport is being prosecuted, so they want to be included. There you are. Cable Airport's a third party, and they will be prosecuted with regard to the pattern of conduct as well. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:50 a.m. Oops. Oh, is it coming on? Maybe not. Maybe it doesn't turn on at all. I don't think it's charged.
Does it turn on all that? It's not.
Yeah, it's not turning on at all. I'm like, what's taking so long?
Well, you know what? But at least we got it figured out enough to where I'm not going to check it out and send you off until we know it's good to go.
Right.
We got our system.
Okay. So I am capturing the images of the entity that is stalking while getting in front of you, stalking while being behind you, stalking while being above you, stalking while already being at the destination, okay? Up in public library, cockroaches, these are demons. So while they walk in, you'll see the images that I'm capturing at 10:16 a.m. The entity that is stalking with children. All right, those children are used as a means of pacing, running all around. They're stalking in perfect alignment with my path as I'm showing you the fake sun that's over me while I'm at the intersection, which is outside of the same windows where the fake sun was over me at 1 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday. It's 10 in the morning when I'm capturing this image. It's 10:15 a.m. Fake sun is over me in the same position, in other words, that it is 3 hours from now. And a whole bunch of psychopaths are just keeping their heads down, that indifferent behavior. Those are the obsessed vagina monitors. They're going to be subject to martial law. Okay. The entity's engaging. It's coming on? Okay. So the entity's engaging in this conduct. You'll see an African American couple. All right. Satan doesn't have a race. Okay. A color, in other words. Satan's race are identified through their behavior, which is mentally ill and sexually violent. And it's also criminal while I'm prosecuting it. So these are cockroaches. And what you'll see, they come into the entrance and they scatter. So they're actually pacing. One goes into the bathroom. The other goes to the desk in front of me. These are basically a bunch of cockroaches that are engaged in what is activity. They're engaged in necessarily presence, movement in the environment. They're monitoring. They're physically stalking while doing so. This is when an entity is doing cooperatively and consistently, and that's what you'll see at 10:16 a.m. The entity is in doing so stalking, which is not a matter of chronology. You are very much stalking while you're in front of me, while you're behind me, while you're above me, while you're already at the destination where I'm going. This is while the U.S. military is maintaining surveillance. This is an entity that's going to be embarrassed with its criminal conduct that everybody is aware of. But this is the entity that engages in that, and they come, as you can see, they come dirty, they come funky, they come tacky. They come with their children, and they come to engage in what is obsessing over me. All right, this is up in public library that had helicopter activity here, and they are coming admittedly engaging in the conduct. They are fully exposed. So this is your understanding of the P.O.C. because that's all this is a tutorial, a study. All right, the entity is going to be subject to martial law. They're going to be subject to involuntary commitments. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:22 a.m. The entities engage in that activity creation with my every movement. That's Adam Tuckerman, Alan, Joy, Clarissa, Elizabeth, Alyssa, all these demons that are monitoring all day long with the demons that fill the venue pacing all around. While the engineer light stays all day long, as I've documented, it is mental illness of an entity inside of a building that's merely erected for surveillance. All right, is it charged?
The last couple I tried were not.
It's not coming up? Oh, you tried more than one already?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on the
this
phone.
one I'm already getting the battery low notification.
Okay.
Let me try another.
All right, no problem. This is in the engineer light, so he is monitoring. But I'm waiting for a laptop. That's literally what I'm doing, and this is the documentation of the entity. You will see the demon possessed that are engaged in what is stalking me, and they're doing so. This is documentation of an entity that is stalking me, and they are being exposed and prosecuted. And as I'm referring to one of the organizers, Jason Isaac Fields, they're being humiliated, which is, again, an obligation when you're exposing an entity that's engaged in this level of criminal activity by the mentally ill. All right, that's P.O.C. Pacing in and out of the bathrooms. That's what that is. Communication devices in hand, they're going into the bathroom stalls, engaging in stalking, right? Coming in wrinkly, coming in foul, coming in smelling as though they're sleeping outside, coming in their pajamas with
all manner of different articles on their head, representing it as their hair. The entities engaging in this stalking conduct together, all right? Equally tacky, equally criminal, equally pathetic, equally demon-possessed. All right, that's what you'll see reflected in the Google Drive. The entities engaging in this in Upland is the same pattern of conduct when I'm in Ontario. It's P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently 10:23 a.m.
Let me keep trying.
Oh boy, we just can't seem to find a working computer, huh?
It's not my day.
These are communication devices that are kept under surveillance as I use them. The force is not with you. You're funny. The force is with you more than you know. Thank
Okay,
you.
if you want to try.
Real quick. Thank you. Let me see.
We've gone through about 4.
None of them were charged last night then, huh? Is that what it is?
That's what it's looking like. Okay, that's a good, decent sign.
And the camera's covered up. Somebody took good care of this one. Good job. It's coming on. Oh, yeah, this one's charged.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Right.
So I still have you on the screen. There you go.
I gave you my card already. Thank you for the napkins. Thank you very much, Mr. Allen.
You're good to go. What's the number of the laptop?
That one is number 30. Alrighty. Oh gosh.
Yeah, 995-3894. That's it? Does it look good to you?
I think so.
Yeah. Alright, thank you for catch. Yes, the same as this, that's fine.
Just take that as like.
Alright, examples. I didn't catch that. Because I had saved it correctly, but I guess I saved it wrong.
Oh, are you done?
Yeah, she's just printing something.
Oh, okay. Hi. I guess when you're done, I just need to be let back into the study room, please. Would you get a Slurpee from Big O?
Yeah,
Oh, that looks so good.
I've had one of these forever.
That looks so good.
What do I want from here? And I was thinking like something gold.
It looks really good. Mm-hmm. Did you leave your change? Did you give her change?
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Oh, there's change up here, Brianna.
Oh, thank you.
You guys were the. I saw. Oh, that's the upper
you
public
see?
library.
We just got them.
Alan had one
There you
on.
go. So
Okay,
you're welcome.
that's cool. I like it.
Okay. Let's go. You said 3 or 2?
2.
2.
The one in the middle. Okay.
The yellow one or the green one?
The yellow one.
Okay.
Were you here for the Star Wars thing?
Yeah, that was actually my first Saturday where I moved up a little bit in position, so I'm now a full time, so I get an extra day.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Did
I
you-
guess.
Oh, sorry, but
No,
did you do like a play or something? Like, did you have a role? Like, what did you do? What do you guys do?
Oh no, I wish. I mean, that one I just got to wear the shirt that I wanted, but I only I got to be at rep, so I didn't really get to see everything this year. Last year I volunteered to come to work around that time.
You like
and
Star Wars?
I love Star Wars. My family is such a big Star Wars. Like I was like, you guys should come. This is so cool. Yeah, we love movies and all of that. So That's why my dad tells me, he's like, why did you guys get in the library? He's like, bring some home.
I know.
There's so many good options.
It was just a play. There was no food or anything, right?
I don't think so. They do have stuff though coming like, you know, other things where they put on, you know, like shifts, like the shift delivery board and things like that. Just keep a lookout for the calendar. Like things are should be changing, especially during the summer and stuff.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Oh, and also, you know, sometimes we have leftovers from like food for the kids. And if you ever need something, just tell me, okay?
Good. Kids.
Yeah, because we feed the kids like from 0 to 18. We feed them free
I
lunches.
like
No, but if you ever do, just let me know.
Oh, okay. Well, thank
Because
you.
sometimes we have like all this stuff on the table, and I'm just like.
I never saw you guys have any anything like that.
Well, I've only been here like this will be my 3rd year in June, so there are a lot of people like they remember people from different times because they've been here longer.
I think you were here in 2022, weren't you?
No, I didn't come in until 2023. Yeah, because it's 2026.
I don't know why you.
Do I look familiar? To who? Was it Christina?
I remember Christina, but in 2022.
2022, I'm pretty sure I was working at Highland, for San Bernardino County. I worked in the Highland branch. They're not
small little library.
It's out in like the rural.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's really cool because they have animals there.
That is cool.
We had a big tortoise.
That's what you get when you work out in the.
Yeah, it was really cool because nobody else really has that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the cool part of it. Like the kids section have their own discovery zone.
Yeah.
So. But yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm just getting it mixed up with Christina because there wasn't a.
No, honestly, yeah. No big deal.
See you later. Funny. So what's going on here? I'm documenting what is bathroom monitoring. So while I'm inside of the restroom, the entity is maintaining amplified audible activity. They're engaged in bathroom monitoring when they are inside of the restroom with me and outside of the surveillance is underway. Okay, I have broken down in evidence how the entity is engaging in surveillance, and it's mentally ill and sexually perverted, and it is state action. Okay, and it's also mentally ill because the absurdity that a government is engaging in surveillance of your genitalia, surveillance that's not even pursuant to even your use of a communication device. Why are you stalking in bathrooms? And this is what they're doing. Remember, they're stalking. It's relevant positioning. So a demon is stalking you in the bathroom. When you are walking in, imagine in your mind's eye from an aerial view. You're walking into the room. You see the little stick person walk through the doorway of the room. You're in the bathroom itself. Adjacent to, behind, on the opposite side of a wall that separates the male restroom, a demon is walking in alignment to you, tracking your steps, walking the same distance that you walk, at the same speed that you are. They are stalking. They engage in what is already being present in adjacent rooms, separating you by merely the ceiling and walls that are adjacent. This is the entity that is engaging in surveillance of the bathroom. This is how they're engaging in surrounding you, monitoring you. And then inside of the bathroom with you is the ongoing maintenance of noise that is amplified in volume, that is designed to keep you under surveillance. Monitoring is criminal. Surveillance, it's also sexually violent. The entity is physically surrounding you. That's why I'm taking a picture of what you will see. This sex offender, this Latino male, the male whose voice you heard, he is engaged in stalking with Brianna, the one who I'm engaging in an exciting conversation with as an employee who's subject to federal prison. Brianna is engaged in what is monitoring me with the entirety of the entity that comes into the library. They are helping Brianna keep me under systematic surveillance. Multiplicity of faces, all of them coming up and asking her a question. Can you help me find this book? Can I check out a laptop? Can I ask you this question with regard to what is stalking in the path? And that's what the sex offender is doing. And you will see what is relevant positioning. As I walk out of the bathroom doors, this third party is in perfect alignment with my person. And does so not by standing there in front of the door like, haha, I got you, I'm making sure I keep you surrounded. He is doing it by being in position, in alignment, and this is relevant to what is intentional because of the specific environment. That is speaking to knowledge, that is speaking to nothing other than obsessive stalking. You are in my path with regard to relevant positioning, obsessively stalking me, making sure I stay surrounded by virtue of a person right in front of me as I exit the door, and this person is engaging in what is conversation,
that is Brianna's exploitation of her position with the Upland Public Library to gang stalk someone else in a bathroom at that. And while I'm inside of the bathroom, the entity maintaining all manner of amplified audible activity while everything that you're doing is being monitored, which is a sexually perverted, psychologically torturous means of the pattern of conduct. It's predatory, okay? It is mentally ill to engage in that, and you have the demon possessed that are engaging in psychological torture pursuant to what is criminal surveillance. Okay, the pattern of conduct is the program of psychological torture. They engage in sexually motivated, predatory means of psychological torture. Stalking you with audible activity is occurring with regard to you're relieving yourself, you're removing your clothing, you're using the bathroom. That is being monitored. Every move that you make, when you're necessarily touching yourself, when you're cleaning yourself, when you're walking, making any move that and you have what is also cognizant of, with regard to documentation, but you're all going to be cognizant now of the fact that that is the case amongst the whole population. Everybody in your neighborhood, everybody that's on the freeway, everybody that's in the government building, of the police department, everybody that is in the bank, when you're being gang stalked, when you're being targeted. And that's not just when you went to the bank, that's for the duration of the day. Every time you went to the bathroom, you were under surveillance by an entire entity that's merely taking turns stalking in the path when you go to the bank. And then you have that same entity taking its turn monitoring you when you go to the 7-Eleven. And then you have the entity that's taking its turn monitoring you when you go to the grocery store. And then you have the entity taking its turn to monitor you when you're on the freeway going back home. It's the same entity. In other words, it's the same person. It's the government, and the government is doing it through a population. And that's why I'm capturing this documentation. This is someone that's speaking to the Star Trek. She's aware that she's being documented, and her behavior, her hyper excitement is a means that she relieves herself as she's very scared, and she should be because she's going to prison, but she maintains a level of excitement while she is being documented, and she knows it. But because of the pattern of conduct that they surrounded, their own pattern of conduct is what is serving to have them criminally prosecuted, because you're engaging stalking in a way that's supposed to make someone else look as though they're crazy. Now you're forced in that role because you're not monitoring. You're not aware that you're being documented either. You're forced to maintain that role, and anything that you say, any unfounded accusations, is an admission. And so you're understanding the entity that's engaging in that, and they're doing so while they're engaged in surveillance in a bathroom, and the fake sun is indeed over the Upland Public Library. The entity's maintaining what is that pattern of conduct while they are engaging in psychotic behavior, very highly passive-aggressive, microaggressive conduct of unintelligent people. They're not smart. They're not smart at all. They're merely obsessed, and they're merely cowards. It's very easy for a punk to keep their back to you while they're following you, okay? And I've shown you how far punks are willing to go. Okay, and it's not very far. The entity engages in what is crawling into helicopters and stalking and flying in circles because they're punks. That's not a move of courage. Those are not big, mighty warriors that you're scared of. Those are punks. Okay, those are the ones that are running and accelerating in their vehicles when the documentation begins. Okay, so if you're a gangster, be gangster on film, please. The American people want to see it. Okay, so the entity's engaging in this P.O.C, and this is relevant to monitoring vagina, monitoring in a sexually motivated, inexplicable, illegitimate. That doesn't even make any sense why you're engaging in that level of surveillance, and that's exactly what they're doing. Okay, the entities engage in this while the fake sun, as a matter of evidence, is present while I'm at the Ovid Family Community Library, sunrise and sunset. And then you have how is the sun even going to be in Upland, California? It's not in a natural environment. And also the sun is not, that's also not a natural environment for the documentation to exist that the sun is at the Ovid Family Community Library from sunrise until sunset, which it is. The entity is then deviating from the sun remaining at the Ovid Family Community Library area from sunrise to sunset for it to be at any time in Upland, California. Not just in Upland, but over me in Upland, California at the Upland Public Library from early morning until the evening after 6 p.m., where then I am documenting the entity keeping a fake sun as I then walk toward Ontario on the same Euclid Avenue that I'm walking on in the morning. This is how, and this is what you're cognizant of when you're looking at a sex offender, a vagina monitor. Okay, that likely cannot get any attention from women voluntarily and gang stalks to get his sexual gratification. These are perverts. These are sex offenders. And this is state action. It's informing you about the hypocrites that are engaging in this criminal system of surveillance. And they are cowards. They are perverts. Okay, they are engaging in what is surveillance of your genitalia, which is only conjured up in the pit of hell. That's beyond, it doesn't even make any sense, that level of surveillance, that level of stalking. Okay, you're nothing other than a psychotic stalker. The level of obsession, you need to understand, this is unhinged behavior that tries to cloak itself and control itself. But when you're looking at them stalking, the fact that the library is full of people, these are demons that refuse to give up that role. And they are not looking persuasive. They don't look like they're not engaging. It doesn't make anybody look like they're imagining it. They are forced to do it in front of all of you. They are forced to expose how obsessed they are. They are forced to expose how perverted they are. They are forced to expose how corrupt they are. When you look at the fakes and when you look at people, bodies that are in this building, and they're all stalking together, it's pathetic. These are dead people. Okay, that's the P.O.C. It's currently 2:14 p.m. This is Brianna, who's engaging in what is stating that she was not working here in 2022, but it would be in my evidence, and she does look familiar. She does look familiar. Remember, the entity engaged in kidnapping me in 2022 from from July of 2021 until January of 2022. And then I resumed employment. I moved to LA. I resigned in Los Angeles I was forced to, because the entities threatening my life, gang stalking me at the job. Speaker Companies Incorporated, which hired me in furtherance of murdering me with the intent to target me in this manner in the workplace. This is establishing legislation regarding domestic terrorism in the workplace. This is, again, never before contemplated means of recovery, civil and criminal. And you're going to prison for terrorism in the workplace. That's what Speaker Companies, the employees, are facing. And that case remains in progress against them. They're going to prison for everything that the Upland Public Library and Over Family Community Library, the people of the state, these idiots that are stalking me by helicopter and Selena, Carlo, Juan Carlos, you have the entity that is gang stalking me, Maria. They're all going to prison. Speaker Companies. You have Kimberly Fletcher, Don Noggle, the corporate that's up in Palo Alto. They're going to prison. They're going to federal prison. The entity hired me with the intent to kill me while I was subject to gang stalking. And they are the people of the state, just like the people of the state are here. This is the same entity, and this is how they are incapacitating themselves. This is how the entity is going to suffer inevitably. There is a pool of defendants that are literally already established, and all I do on a daily basis is I add to my pool of defendants that are going to prison. Period. That are going to be committed. Meaning they have already been defeated. They're in the back. They're waiting to be arrested because they're going to prison. The case is already complete. And including the case is complete when you're looking at them gang stalking me on an ongoing basis every single day. Because you stalking me in commercial plants in Upland, California, you have Miss Solis Alvarez, who's going to prison. That was my gang stalking manager of Speaker Company. She's going to prison. Okay, this is the entity that is engaging in that pattern of conduct and is doing so pursuant to a very specific supernatural P.O.C. That's how the entity is always serving my purposes, never winning, never at all. And their mental illness works against them because you get so triggered, and San Bernardino County wants to pace around me inside of the grocery store at Stater Brothers while you engaged in criminally defaming my character and kidnapping me, and you defame my character while then after kidnapping me, I'm subject to that same criminal pattern of conduct, and I'm able to produce even more evidence to that same inevitable end. And you were lying about my character, doing so while you work for behavioral health. I hope you're prepared, and even if you're not, it is justice, sweet justice, that you, being unprepared, are going to be committed. Because it's not just criminal, it's psychopathic to engage in that conduct, to join the medical profession, to kidnap and criminally defame people, to join the legal profession to kidnap and criminally defame people, to be a part of what is a population that is present for surveillance in order to ultimately kidnap and defame someone that you're targeting. This is a psychopathic, corrupt, and criminal pattern of conduct that an entity is practicing, and it is underway inside of a bathroom. Okay, so when they go into the bathroom, that's icing on the poisonous cake that they are going to have mushed in their face. You're stalking, and then you have the audacity to come into the bathroom stalking. You have the audacity. That's the government. You are going to be committed by literally the logical breakdown of what you are doing. You're stalking. You're a stalker. And you are a stalker who then goes into the bathroom stalking. You pull down your pants, you relieve yourself and your purpose is stalking, and the environment will prosecute you. And everything you say and do while you're engaging in that will have you committed. Let me be clear. The Upland Public Library engaged in kidnapping pursuant to malicious assertions while they're monitoring vagina, and they engaged in kidnapping based on their ongoing insistence and their determination to keep my vagina under surveillance and not be exposed for it. You're going to prison for that. Landavars, partners that are gang stalking me, doing so during business hours where he's present during the 8 a.m. hour, the fake sun documentation in and of itself. This is the P.O.C, a bunch of psychopaths that are pacing around book stacks, monitoring. They've got their communication devices on them while they're pacing all around, stalking in a library under a fake sun in light that's not even naturally occurring. This is a community of psychos that are being committed, and their mentally ill children are going to be treated as well. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 2:20 p.m. (9XSM814), stalking at J as in Jacob Street and Euclid Avenue at 7:36 p.m. (9TRJ374), the same thing, stalking, blocking my path at the next intersection, Plaza Serena Court and Euclid Avenue. This is the entity that's stalking. This is the entity that's going to be prosecuted. They're going to be dealt with via martial law. And they're continuously acting to that ongoing, inevitable end. It is currently, again, moments later, 7:38 p.m. Alrighty, it is currently 8:11 p.m. This is images capturing Eddie. That's gang stalking. This is a third-party associate of Frenetta Base, gang stalking at the senior center. He is pacing with the U.S. military that are pacing, stalking me, conspiring murder, doing so maliciously while gang stalking me with the entity that using helicopters. Eddie's engaged in targeting me with the entity stalking by commercial airline planes. Eddie's engaged in serial stalking. Eddie is a psychopath that's engaging in that while also engaging in what is trying to associate with me in order to get a closer association in furtherance of targeting me with this same entity. And he is at the the Ovid Family Community Library, Ontario Senior Center, the Civic Center, and he is present gang stalking with the Ontario Police, who are engaged in criminal summoning. Criminal summoning is any means whereby the police that are engaged in criminal surveillance are engaging in surveillance under the guise of executing the duties of an officer, such as hosting for the protection of the public that's engaged in monitoring with the entity that has planes flying over the event at the Ontario Town Square right now, where you know that same Ontario Police Department, the U.S. military, are stalking me every night by helicopters and airplanes, and the people of the state the same. This is documentation regarding what Eddie is doing. He's sitting on the same benches that are right in front of the city senior center apartments, the 280 North Lemon apartments. He is crossing path, getting up and walking back and forth to the bench. He's pacing. He's mentally ill, and he's also engaging in sync with the demons that are stalking me, like they were in Upland, California, at the intersection of 8th Street and 8th Street in San Antonio under the fake sun. The entity is engaging in this conduct in Ontario and in Upland, California, and Eddie is targeting me, and he is serially stalking, which is basis of federal prison for Eddie, okay? This is somebody that's engaged in that psychopathic conduct and then also looks at me and smiles. This is an evil, and with regard to the law, a criminal, okay? This is the P.O.C. It's currently 8:13 p.m. Eddie is severely mentally unstable, stalking with light in the path. This is a hostile demon. This is P.O.C.